we create what we think they want, but we don't always ask them what they want. So
Right.
somehow we have to make sure we're asking them what they want so that we're not wasting time creating packages that they won't buy.
What is your offer right now? What is your offer? Because you said you're going to teach them all of these things, but how do you do it?
Well, I actually do it through group coaching programs, masterminds, and intensives. So in other words, my heart wants to lean on intensives and masterminds, where some coaches I notice that they'll do, whether it's a 6-month program or 12-month program, they want to stretch it out, and so I have to kind of determine which one will be the best for what I am offering. And in addition to that, there's a piece of what I do when I talk about helping them heal, because some people are still dealing with past wounds or just past disappointments from prior relationship failures and that kind of thing. So I do offer an opportunity for them to be involved in an actual book anthology where they're able to share their story in one chapter. So they are able to come together as women sharing their story and not going it alone. They can literally talk about their chapter and it comes together in one book anthology. And so that's something that we did the first volume and it was released in September. And now I'm looking at bringing on volume number 2. And the name of the book is I Am She, Standing Through the Trials and Triumphs of Single Life. So it kind of helps them heal by sharing their story, because they may still be dealing with that. And so as they share their stories and they see that they're not the only one who's dealt with some of those types of things, they feel more comfortable with sharing it with someone else, knowing that in the future that book can be used to bless someone else and to help them heal past that pain so that they're able to present themselves to their future soulmates, because you can't really present yourself when you're still hurting. We got to get them past.
Now, you said intensives, group coaching, and mastermind. What is an intensive? What is that?
An intensive is more like a 30-day program versus a 6-month program. So it's more power packed, but it's very high touch, where you're talking and working with me on a weekly, basis, versus a 6-month program where the person is getting, some documents that they need to complete in order to work through that process. And then maybe there's a group that's formed in Facebook, because I have like a Facebook group. And so that's one thing I think will be very, very good for me in the future here, is to create the groups, expand the groups, because I tend to keep them small. But I kind of like that, though. I like the small group so that I can really zero in on what's happening with that person to really help them move forward past that part of their life that's keeping them stuck.
Okay, so that means that if you want to keep small groups, we're going to get to our profit pyramid in just a minute when we get through the last couple people, understanding who they are. That means you either need to raise your prices or expand the number. That's the only way, because if you're going to keep them small, it has to be that your offer is going to bring in enough money to get you past the 6 figures. And are you already offering all of these things, or some of these in the works, but this is what you're already doing?
This is what I'm building up now. I'm working on building those particular packages, because when I release them, I want them to, I'm ready. You know what I mean? I'm really ready. I'm not a coach that's going to tell you, here's 5 tips on, bettering your life so that you can be married in the future. I want to actually walk them through that journey to literally prepare them for marriage.
And you've done your research. So you've talked to, okay, so you're ready. They're waiting on you.
Yeah. And I'm the coach actually that has a background in wedding coordination. So I want to be that somebody, I'm going to be there for that person when they walk down that aisle.
Yeah, I remember that
yes.
You're going to walk them up. You got a through line.
I'm gonna
You
walk
got
them
a
all the way.
you got a
I'm gonna walk
nice
them all the
through
way to the
line.
altar. All the way to the altar.
You got a nice through line. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, I got it. Abraham, tell us, what's your simple offer statement?
Okay, here we go. We'll read it. I help CEOs of small businesses who want to retire but are stressed and overwhelmed by the low revenue, low profits, and declining value of their business by giving and guiding them with tools and systems that will increase the value of their business by up to 71%. So they are peaceful, inspired, and motivated about their business. I can sell their business anytime and retire when they want. Kind of long.
Thoughts? Are you there, Paula? Can you listen up to what Abraham said again and then tell him what he said? Go ahead again, Abraham.
Yes, can you say it again, please?
All right. I help CEOs of small businesses who want to retire but are stressed and overwhelmed with the low value, low revenue, low profits, and declining value of their business. I help them by giving them tools and systems that will increase the value of their business by up to 71%. So they are peaceful, inspired, motivated, and can sell their business anytime they want and retire.
Okay. All right, so I cheated. I took notes. So what Abraham does is he helps CEOs who want to retire and who are stressed by the low values and who are stressed with low values. And he does this by providing them with tools and systems so that they can increase their profitability by 71%, so that in the end they're peaceful, inspired, and motivated by the outcome.
Okay. Feedback. What do you guys think of that?
Well, I would start by saying that the 71% was really the, it bordered on comical, where I actually gravitated to it and thought either he was really specific on that 71 for a reason, or maybe it was really 70%. And then I heard the term buy a couple times. So I know in our formula, it's I help with buy, something like that. And so I heard buy a few times. So I wasn't sure if you were thinking of it in the sense, if I should take that away as what you helped me do by X, Y, and Z, or it was just it was a little much for me for the buy line. And what I heard in a nutshell when you wrapped up, and I heard it twice, is that you are an exit strategist. And so anyone who's ever had a business class or talked about business finance and things, we know that when you start a business, you should be thinking about that exit strategy already. So to me, that's what you're offering, is that peace of mind. And for me, that would be a pain point that you would be helping to smooth out.
Yes, that's correct, Yolanda. The buy, when I mean it's not BUY, is the process I take them through by giving them the tools and systems they need to increase the value up to 71%. That's actually a research, that's been done, and that number is very specific. And there's some questionnaires that business owners can take. And the way they answer that questions, I can figure out, where there's gaps, where there are gaps in their businesses, and then close that gap. And then they will see their business value increase by up to, not 71%, but up to 71%. And then,
Okay.
And another thing is that, yeah, you're also correct about the exit strategy. One thing that I would stress in there is that, and you are correct also, that people who start business should think about the exit strategy. One thing that I want to put in there is to identify how many years from now till they retire do they want? Is it 10 years or 5 years or 20 years, something like that? So that's part of the plan.
You know what I like the exit strategist. That's very clear. There's less wordy and all of that. So I would ask you to think on that. That's a good phrase. You help CEOs of small businesses create and implement a profitable exit strategy. Through my processes and systems, they can see their values increase up to 71%. I think that peace and all of that, leave that out, because we're talking about CEOs. They're not coming to you for peace. They'll go to their pastor for that, or their rabbi, whatever it is. They're not coming to you for peace, even though we know if you're making, if you can see a way to retire, we know that will give you peace. But don't talk to them about peace. Get the contract first, then you can talk about peace. Okay. So you are an exit strategist for small businesses, and you have systems and tools that will increase their business value by up to 71%. Just play with those words. Play with those words and see where you kind of land with that. But tighten it up, take all of that piece and all of that stuff at the end. You don't need them to be inspired. They want to retire and they want money.
Okay.
That's the thing about it. You got to be real clear. People who want money, all that other stuff is just icing on the cake. But there are some people who are very clear about wanting money. Most CEOs want money. They want to either decrease their expenses, they want to increase their revenue, they want better cash flow, they want something pertaining to their dollars because they know why they're in business. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes, absolutely. What do you think about the stress and overwhelm that they feel? Should I leave that out or leave it in?
I mean, if you want to say, something, and don't take this verbatim. This is for you to sit with and noodle over and play around with it and make sure that it meets your needs. This is just thoughts that I have. I help CEOs of small businesses with a profitable exit strategy through tools and systems so that they can increase their business value by 71%.
Okay.
Play around with it. If you think in your research that throwing something in about stress and all of that, if you think that's going to help you connect with your audience, throw it back in. Mm-hmm. But I would just make it clean.
Okay.
Any other thoughts about it? You guys you're getting tired. We're going to take a break after Paula shares. You don't have the booklet yet, right, Paula?
I was about to say that it seems like there's a template, but I don't have it.
Yeah, the template is I help.
I need some.
That's something right with?
I need to. Am I the next person, or can you go on to someone? I need to go get my notebook so I can take that.
Go ahead. Okay. Let me share mine, and okay. You guys can give me some. Go ahead, Paula, while you're go get your whatever you need to get, and I'll just share mine while you're gone.
All right.
Because I'm tightening mine up all the time. I'm trying to really tighten it up. I help solopreneurs and micro-sized businesses. Now, when I'm talking to people, this is the statement for me. I wouldn't say that micro-sized businesses to people. Only people who use that language are like small business development center people, women's business center people, but real people don't do that. So I may say, I help solopreneurs with the problem of getting visibility in business growth. And I do that through training, virtual events, helping them produce income producing books so that they can burst through that 6-figure barrier. But I'm tightening that up all the time. I'm narrowing down my target market all the time so I can be more specific to them. I used to say I help expert professionals because they tend to be solopreneurs. What I found out when I continue to do research is that how many of you would say I'm an expert? Raise your hand if you would really say to somebody, I'm an expert. Okay, you got 2 people raising their hands. A lot of people won't say that. You know, it gets back to mindset. They won't say they're expert. I asked a couple of people who I look at them and I think they're expert. And it's like, well, you're expert at blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not. I'm not really an expert. Most people won't say that they're experts. So that's why I had started playing around with that language. And I've been throwing out different phrases to see what actually connects with people. I use self-employed. That sounds like, I mean, it seems like from what I know so far that sometimes that works, or sometimes I'll say self-employed professionals. And I use the term professionals because I don't work with people who are skilled. You know, there are a lot of skilled people who have their own businesses, plumbers and, you know, things like that. I could help them, but I prefer to stay with like more professional services kind of people. Are you back, Paula?
Could you say yours again one more time?
Who, Angela?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I'm just playing around with it. I have the real one in my bedroom, but I help solopreneurs with increasing their business visibility and growth through, and I usually just say, training and consulting. Then when I get to know them, I'll throw in that I do the books and all of that stuff so that they can shatter the 6-figure barrier. That's a tagline of mine, shatter the 6-figure barrier.
And it might be just that I missed it, but I didn't hear the problem that you're solving. I guess I missed it because I definitely heard the who you help, the how you help, and the so that, but I'm trying to hear with where you say I help blah, blah, blah with. Did I miss that?
Visibility
And growth.
and business growth. I didn't
Okay.
phrase it as a pain point with low visibility and stagnant business growth. But I'm playing with the words. But I have an actual one. I'm in another room, but in my bedroom, I have the actual one, and it's got a lot of red marks on it because the more I talk to people, the more I tighten it up. And I don't feel bad about that. Don't feel bad, because when they told me that Tony Robinson and all of these big guys that they work with, these are guys who spend hundreds of thousands of dollars doing virtual events and things like that. If they are constantly tightening up what they do, and especially during COVID, they all pivoted. They're all testing. They're all figuring it out. They have all done things that didn't work as well as prior to COVID. So we don't have to feel anything because we're tightening our stuff up. Are you back, Paula?
I am. Just got back.
Okay, go ahead and give us your statement. It's I help, name your target audience, with is the pain point or problem, buy is your offer, so that is the transformation. And we'll take a break after this.
Okay. So I help mainly women 50 and over with these, oh Lord, I have to write this down. Okay, so basically, let me just summarize it and then I'll see how I can fill it in and so quickly. So I help women in particular who are challenged with creating podcasts by doing one-on-one coaching so that they are able to market themselves effectively through their podcast, thereby increasing their bottom line by 90%. I'm kind of ad-libbing here because I have
Okay,
not
so aren't you only working with certain women? It's not all women. I thought you said you were working with women from the Caribbean, or did you change that?
No, my guests are women from the Caribbean and Africa who have immigrated to the United States or Canada or the United Kingdom, who have been successful and they tell their story. That's my podcast guests. But what I actually do is I work with people who want to create their own podcasts and are challenged by the technicality and want to be in a safe environment so that they can be comfortable asking whatever tech questions that they may have, so that at the end they can create a successful podcast for themselves.
Well, Alfreda is she's the wordsmith, and I know Yolanda is too. But this is what I'm getting. Something, just write this down. These are things for you to sit with, maybe consider, maybe throw out if it doesn't make sense to you. But okay, what I'm kind of getting is something like, you work with, wouldn't these all be business owners? Because are other people who are not in business, do they want to do podcasts? Are they your market?
No, I work with business owners.
Okay. So I see I'm working with women business owners 50 plus.
Yeah.
Who desire, because what you're doing really is using the podcast to build their leadership and their authority within their industry so they can make more money.
Correct.
Right? So, I help women 50 plus position themselves as experts, leaders in their industry.
I like that.
Through a podcast do you want to do all one-on-one? Do you want to do at any point, are you going to do more than that?
Later on, but right now it's one-on-one.
Okay, so personalized coaching and training. But it's something like help them to become leaders in their industry, be recognized leaders in their industry. Because you're showing them not just the technical part of the podcast, aren't you showing them the business aspect of it also?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's some, it's that. So they're monetizing the podcast, but it's also going to lead to increased revenue in other areas. So it's creating multiple streams of income from a podcast.
Correct.
Is that getting a little close?
Yes, that is, because essentially my my clients have used their podcasts to increase their visibility and their, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, mainly to increase their visibility in order to get more clients on their own side. I mean, to get more clients. I know I haven't quite.
But see, it's more than just clients. It's multiple streams of revenue because they're going to get, you know, when they build their podcast up, they're going to get some sponsorship revenue. Don't you teach them that? You teach them how to get advertising revenue when they get to that point. They're going to attract more customers. And then maybe you can even look at their business and give them more business development ideas about how they can go a little bit further. So it really is about increasing the number of streams of revenue they have coming into their company, because they have to know how to leverage a podcast. A podcast, just doing it and you don't make anything off of it. It's like going spending hours on Clubhouse and you come away with not a dime. That's a waste of time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how about something like I help, but you're going to sit with this. I help women 50 plus. Who need to grow their business and increase their visibility. This is too many words, but grow their business and increase their visibility. Through personalized coaching and training so that they can create multiple streams of revenue from their podcast. We have to play with that. Alfreda, you're a wordsmith. Did you come up with anything for that?
It's pretty close to what you have. I would just say, like, I help women 50 and over who desire to start a podcast, but are challenged with digital technology, by one-on-one coaching so that they are able to influence, so that they're able to gain influence, followers, and profits, or something.
Yeah, I
Or
like
so they're
that.
able to
I like
increase,
that.
so that they are able to increase their influence, their followers, and their profits, or their
I
bottom
like-
line, or something like that. I don't know.
I like that. Definitely better than where I started. All right,
But
I like
somehow,
that. That's good.
that's good. Thank you.
Okay. So I know you guys, your legs are getting tired. So this is what I want to ask you. You know, we could have our lunch right in front of the computer because I know some of you may even be hungry. Would you guys like to take like a 20-minute break, go get your lunch and come back? Or what do you want to do? Give me some ideas.
it's totally fine with me.
Are you guys good with that? Would 20 minutes give you enough time to get your lunch?
Yeah, I'm going to be mobile for the next half of the course today. So, but I'll definitely still be chiming in.
So this is what we're going to do when we come back, just to give you a sneak peek of what we're going to be doing. Let's see. Hold on a second. Let me share. Make sure I got this up. Because now we want to get into more about okay, so now we want to get more into, and I'll show you how to get this. I'll show you how to get this in a minute if you don't already have it. But this is the workbook that we're using. So this is where we're going in the afternoon. Today is all about focus. We spent a lot of time on this. That next page is follow one course until successful. For your target market, it would be nice if you could complete this at your leisure to really hone in on. You're not going to be able to answer all of these, but this is something that big companies use when they create their avatars. They get down to the nitty gritty, like, You know, where do they go to meetup groups? What blogs do they read? They want to know everything. How do they shop? You know, their financial bracket. They want to know everything about them, because that's going to help you with your offer, how you position your offer in the marketplace. So you can do this at your leisure, but this is what we want to spend the time on. These next couple hours, we're going to talk about thought leadership and how, because we're talking about getting past the six-figure barrier, how your thought leadership is going to help you do that, and how you're going to build your thought leadership in 22. It's critical that you do this, because it's going to make for you making more money easier. And then your profit pyramid. We're going to look at, what are your offers? What are you charging? How many folks need to buy it? How do you get to whatever that number is at the top of that pyramid? And this is the interesting thing about that. We can come up with these numbers. People pull numbers out of the sky, and that's okay. If you haven't done this kind of work before, and I hope most of you have, that's okay, because until you have a benchmark, you know, you can do some research and find out for your industry what seems to be some averages, but until you have benchmarks for you, it's going to be really hard to go forward and project. People who are in business for a long time, they project their earnings and they get really close. If they get, you know, they're doing metrics all along. Every quarter, they're looking at their earnings. You know, that's why you hear the stuff on the news. Procter & Gamble was down the first quarter because they're looking at their earnings. They're really looking at them every month, but definitely quarterly, because they report that to shareholders. And you're going to do the same thing. This is how you build a business. And if you see that in 6 months, second quarter, you are nowhere close to being halfway up your profit pyramid with that number that you desire to make, you're going to have to get busy. That third quarter, you're going to like say, okay, what are the tactics I need to get in place to get these numbers here? So you may have a quarter where you're working. At the end of Q3, you may have made up that difference, but you want to do that every quarter, and that determines what you have to do the next quarter, even though you already will have your profit pathway built out. But if you don't hit your numbers, you want to put more effort into what you're doing so that becomes more plausible for you. So we're going to do that, and we're going to you're going to do your own numbers. I'm going to show you some numbers and how this actually really works. And that's going to be it. We're going to spend most of our time on that. We're going to end by, what's your vision for 2020? After we've done all of that, not 2020, trying to go backwards. What's going to be your vision for 2022? This is going to help you. When I started doing this, I was like so amazed. You know, I used to just be running, trying to make extra money, coming up with stuff off the fly, not planning it out, all of that stuff. But when I started really being the CEO of my business, and that's a real serious mindset shift, because I was just self-employed. But now I am the CEO of TKC Incorporated. We have shareholders. They're called Angela Heath, because I'm incorporated. My shareholder is Angela Heath, and Angela Heath is looking for her returns out of that business. And so I've got to treat this small business like the large businesses treat their business. This is a profit-making machine. And so I have to treat it that way. So that's where we're going for the balance of the afternoon. So you guys good with the 20 minutes? You can bring your food back here if you want to. And then we'll get into that thought leadership piece and the profit pyramid. Are you good with 20 minutes? Give me some feedback.
That's fine for me. I have to jump off again at 2 o'clock because I have a doctor's appointment, a virtual one, for about 10 minutes and then jump back in.
Okay, yeah, I hope you don't miss this, because this is the most important part of today on the focus piece. Okay, so it is, let's come back at 1:15. 150?
Yeah, that's
Is
about
that
it.
good? All right, we'll come back at 150 and we'll jump into that. And this is really important. This is really like some good meat for you guys to know where you're going and know where you're going to have to increase your activities, because you got to measure, and then you'll know, and then you'll find out, hey, I spent 10 hours on Clubhouse last week and I didn't make a dime. Okay, let me tweak that. I spent 10 hours on Clubhouse last week. I got a couple bites. Let me tweak that. I spent 10 hours on Clubhouse and I made $2,000. Let me tweak it. You know, so you'll see it, because it'll all be measured. You'll see it going forward and you'll know where to spend your time. Because if you're doing stuff like, for example, all of these people who were networking last year, run into all of these networking events. And I asked the question the other day, people almost shot me. I said, all of that running around you did last year, how much money did you make? Don't tell me, tell yourself. Somebody told me, oh, I network online. I go to probably about 3 or 4 of the Happy Neighborhood Project places every week. And I'm also a part of this networking and that networking. And oh, I make some great people with it. How much money did you walk away with? If you're not walking away with any money, you're socializing with people.
Yeah.
You can't be socializing. You're a business person. You keep your socialization for after hours. But when you're using your precious daytime hours to network and you make nothing, you know, relationships, sometimes it take a little while to get a sale, because you got to build the relationships. People got to say, oh, wow, Alfreda, she can really help me, you know, find a spouse. Or, oh, Paula, I've been checking her out. She's good at podcasting. Or Abraham can really build some value into businesses. He can really help me retire early. Or Yolanda can help me grow my business through social marketing. They have to be convinced of that. And Darlene, I don't know if you're there, but Darlene can help me with my self-care. So it could take a little time, but everything we do as a business person, it has to be more intentional. We have to be directed. And we're going to talk about that through line. That's going to change the course of your business, because it changed it for me when I started looking at that and became really focused. And I know that that's the way all people who build 6- and 7-figure businesses, that's what they do, so that they're not crazy. So, all right, we'll come back at 1:50. Thank you guys so much. I apologize once again for starting late, but I hope you're going to get a ton of value out of the rest of this time. And then, you know, tomorrow I'll share with you what we'll be focusing in on. All right, let's take 1:50. We'll start back. And Paula, can you just hold on just a second? I want to show you where you can get the booklet.
Sure.
Okay, let me share my.
And we shouldn't sign off. We should just put the.
Yeah, don't sign off. Just close your. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to sign off. I mean, you can get back in, but you don't have to sign off. Hold on a second. Let me pull it back up.
So I can close my camera and unmute myself, correct?
Yeah. But you don't have, okay. And I thought I had one that was open. Hold on a second. I'm finding the one that's open. I got too many tabs open.
Sure.
I feel like when I wear my glasses too much, it makes me see worse.
Oh, gosh. Well, I was just thinking the same.
Okay, so when you come in the morning, when you come back, rather after, you can leave it on for your doctor, you can close it, whatever you want to do. But when you come back in, what you need to do is you'll get that sign in where you'll put the email that I've been emailing you, You'll put it in 3 times. That's the login. Once you log in, you're going to end up on the dashboard. This is what the dashboard is. So
did that.
here, when you're ready to get, this is when you come into the main room.
Mhm.
You can upload your photo here if you want to. I'm asking people if they want to upload a photo. You'll be able to do that. You click here and then go to your computer or your phone and choose a photo. Then you just click upload after you've chosen a photo. And then there's going to be a time if you want to book some time with me, that'll be working. It's not working right now because we're not doing that yet. Every morning and every afternoon, this area right here is going to be a new message, either about, some things to think about if you want to do a little bit of work before you come back, because remember, we're building your business out. The icons don't really do anything because I need to have a TV behind me in order to make them work, and I didn't have time for that. Here's your agenda, the things that we're focusing in on every day. And here's your resource. So download this. This is what we're using, what we're going through. You do get points for everything that you do on the dashboard. And if you want to know how many points you got, you just go over here to leaderboard. The black button, which we're going to take down, I was just, when we had technical difficulties, they couldn't get it open. So I was just trying to figure out something. Anyway, you can go here and you'll see all of the photos that people have uploaded. And if you want a Zoom background, you can go here and then you can use your Zoom background. And that's the dashboard. But it'll grow every day. It'll be a little bit more, a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So.
All right. And I'll see you soon. I'm going to go get some nuts or something. I need a little something. And I need to sit down because I'm standing up. So I think I'm going to change my position. My back is starting to hurt. All right. I'll see you in a few.
Okay. Thanks, Angela.
You're welcome.
Hello, Angela.
Yeah.
I need to step out. I'm going to leave I will leave my browser on because I can't log in 2 places, right?
You cannot log into from 2 different things. You can close this out and then go on your phone and log in, but you can't have 2 of them open at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to leave this one on and I come back and continue with you.
Okay. So when you get back, just turn your camera on and we'll know you're back.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Thanks.
I'm here.
I thought you were in the car or something.
I am.
Okay. All right. I wanted to make sure people are back because this is a really important part of today. Paula, are you back? Abraham said he'll be back shortly. Darlene, are you here? I'm not sure if Darlene is. And now Paula says she had a
I'm back.
doctor.
I have to jump off at 2. I'll come back.
All right. Okay, let's get to the stuff that really helps us grow. Let me share my screen. And it is quite interesting that, okay, it's still working. All right, I want to talk about thought leadership. Sometimes people say, why do you talk about thought leadership so much? This is the bottom line. Thought leaders make more money. They make more money. When I did those 3 books and became an expert and I could charge higher and higher rates for my speaking engagements, that's what it was. They thought that I was a thought leader because they thought anybody who could write 3 books on something in 5 years must really be, about their business. And, I was sharing with you that even with this fourth book that I wrote. This book is 3 years old, and this book is still producing income for me. Now, you know, we're going to talk about books a little bit later, but don't be confused about books, right? Books are good for some income, but really, seriously, not that many people make a lot of money off the book itself. Books are good for what it opens the door to. It makes you look like a thought leader. So you want to be very careful when you're preparing your books. So this thought leadership pyramid is something that I teach a lot, and it's going to sound very simplistic, but this is going to lead over to your profit pyramid and to your profit pathway. It's all going to link, but it is going to sound, you know, pretty simplistic as we go through it. So here's the pyramid, and at the bottom, we talked today in Clubhouse about being authentic and how there are a lot of people on Clubhouse who are not really authentic. And this is how you're going to know it. So at the bottom, what holds you up? What holds your business up? If you're a small business owner, it really is you. Until you grow a larger corporation, what holds it up is really who you are. This is the core of who you are. This is taking a look at how you're building your business. For example, Yolanda says she's an expert at social media. That's who she is. That's the B of her, right? Alfreda says she's an expert at singlehood and all that comes along with it. That's who she is. So when we're thinking about thought leadership, the base is really very important. We have to be sure that who we are telling people we are is the truth of our core, because eventually people find out. Perfect example, Bernie Madoff. Perfect example. Everybody thought he was the most brilliant businessman, investor, but eventually the house of cards fell apart. What was their names? Millie Vanilli? What was, you know what I'm talking about, the lip syncing guys. Everybody thought, oh my gosh.
Millie Vanilli.
Willie Vanilli.
Millie Vanilli.
Well, everybody knows what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they're fine and they can sing. That's only going to hold you up for so long. That's why people get caught doing scams. And if you do certain kind of scams, you go to prison for that, because they're not being authentic. They're not selling who they truly are. They're selling what they want to be. There's nothing wrong with that, because you got to step into it. You got to grow into a pivot. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the core of that, there should be some skill set. There should be some interest. There should be some history that you're building upon. None of us are young in this room, so we don't want to start a whole new career on something and we have nothing in our culture add the uniqueness of who we are. We have nothing that's going to serve the people. We don't do that. We take what we have and we build it. We can pivot, we can learn, but at the core, you got to have something at the core. You got to have something at the core. So that's the base. Huh?
We're young. We're not babies,
young,
but we're young. We're youthful.
Yes.
Yolanda, I wanted to echo that too.
We're not babies though. We're not just getting started. Everybody in here probably has had 2 or 3 pivots in their life. Am I true? We didn't have 2 or 3, but when we pivot, we usually take whatever we are, the B of us is a culture add. That's what I call it. So we take that with us. Let me give you an example of a man who made a lot of money. And some of you may have heard this, but this just impresses me. I was in New York speaking, and a high-powered divorce attorney from Florida came to the same thing that I was at. He was speaking. And he ended up sharing with me how he said he made, I don't even remember how much money he made an hour. It was a ton of money. Like, I want to say close to $2,000 an hour, something. He said that his wife bugged him and bugged him and bugged him because his son was on the baseball team and his son wasn't good, but this guy had a college scholarship for baseball. So his wife was pretty much through with him, show him how to play baseball, or, you know, this is going to be a bad situation. He spent time with little Johnny. He improved tremendously. All the dad said, how did little Johnny become such a good baseball player? What coach did you send him to? We want to send our kids there. He said, I taught him. I got a college scholarship. So then, you know, his wife's still saying, do more, do more, do more, spend more time with the kid. So then he said he had a long weekend. He didn't have any pressing work. He took a long weekend. He did a baseball camp. And all of the fathers, they signed their kids up. He said it sold out like instantly. So he did a baseball camp. He didn't even really prepare. And then his older son, his teenage son, said, Dad, why don't we do an educational video about Little League Baseball? And I can film you teaching little brother whatever it is you've taught him to make him so good. They did it. They got some help with SEO. They made $140,000 off that class. This is a man who didn't do anything really. He just talked for a few sessions, and then they paid a little SEO. I don't even think they paid $2,000. They paid a little bit. They made $140,000 off that. So when he came out and said, hey, I'm going to show you guys in this training how to use baseball, he's a high-powered attorney, but he brought his culture ad forward. That's who he is. He was so good in baseball that he got a college scholarship. Do you see what I'm saying? So you bring that forward into everything you do. And the more you bring it forward, the more unique you become. So when I wrote the fourth book, I targeted people 45 and older because I am a gerontologist. My first business focused on a lot of gerontology, wellness, medical kinds of things. So I took that expertise from there and I brought it over to this new venture. And I started talking about this specifically for this group because I know they don't know enough about it. So it's out of who you are that you do something. This isn't rocket science. This is where your subject matter expertise is. This is important. And here's a warning. You can be a subject matter expert and it can be a trap because people who can do something well, they get trapped in only doing something. So whatever that thing is, that's what they get trapped in. So for example, the skill that Yolanda has, she could get trapped in that. And she could just be a provider of social media services. Now, if she likes doing that, then it's not a trap. But if she aspires to more, if she wants to make more money, if she wants to go up in thought leadership, then perhaps it is a trap. When you can do something well, when you become a subject matter expert, people can tend to pigeonhole you. And subject matter experts make a lot of money, but they're not thought leaders. Thought leaders get paid more than subject matter experts. So at that next level, you're going to say something. And you're going to say something that nobody else in your industry is saying. You're going to say it differently, right? You're going to give a different twist to this subject. You know, think about the thought leaders that you listen to, even the podcasts, Paula, that you listen to. There has to be something unique in a podcast, these people have to say something differently. And that includes having your books. Your book cannot be the same stuff that everybody else is saying. You know, it has to have something unique. It has to have something that comes out of your core. Who are you? What do you do? And then out of that, you speak something that's unique. You look at whatever this industry is, you flip it on its head, you spin it around, you do everything you need to do so you can look at it differently. And when you present that, people will say to you, I never thought about that. That's industry. So how do you say it? You do it a lot of different ways. You can do your podcasts, you can do your books, you can do speaking engagements. Oh, this is a fun day. I just lost my internet service for a second. I don't know if it was me or if it was this crazy platform, but I'm writing it down so I can tell them this. Oh, it says my network bandwidth got low. Okay, that never happens. All right, let me get back to where I was. And of course, that made everything disappear. All right, so you guys got where I was going with this, right? Technology is good when it's good. When it's bad, it's really bad. So you're going to be something, you're going to do something, you're going to say something with a unique voice. What do you think comes after that? If that's who you are and you can do it well, you can talk about it from a unique spin, what else can you do next to build thought leadership? Any thoughts? Now you can teach something. And here's the deal. If you're only down in to do something, people will not see you as a thought leadership. They'll see you as an expert programmer, an expert stylist. But when you can do all of this with a unique spin, then you can teach something. Now, here's the deal. If you teach tactics only, then you are a lower thought leader than if you teach strategy along with the tactics, and if you teach principles along with the strategy, along with the tactics. What's the difference? Tactics change all the time. You know, a year and a half ago, there was no Clubhouse. Tactics change all the time. Strategies mean that you have done some analysis of something and you've come up with a pathway that's going to be useful for whatever you're trying to accomplish. Principles change less often. So it's a principle that those who refuse to market and those who refuse to sell, a lot of small businesses do not sell. They don't sell, and they wonder why they don't have any sales, because they're not selling. If you don't sell, that's a principle. You're going to starve as a business owner. So try to think about your industry in terms of principles, strategies, and tactics that you understand very well that you can teach to others. Because when you start teaching, now people say, oh, wow, she knows her stuff. She's teaching. You know, she's got a podcast, she's got a book, now she's teaching. And then the final leg up here is replicate. Now, when you can do that, now you have thought leadership. Let's talk a little bit about replication. You can only replicate after you've tested. You can beta. This is a beta. So this is a beta test, and you are getting this training for Total Bargain. Next time you see this training, depending on what you tell me about the training, if you tell me this training is good and you tell me how to change it, because I am going to ask you how to change it, and I am going to ask you if you can give me testimonies if you think it's good. If you think this training is good, it will never be offered for that amount of money again. Why? Because now I know I can replicate. I know that I took all the research that I did, all of the interviews that I did. When I went back to my first business and I looked at what I did to grow a Gigpire, I looked at the business now and how my business is flourishing. I took all of that and put it into the pieces that I think, based on all of that, and I talk to entrepreneurs almost every day. What is missing? Because some of that fundamental stuff, we spent a long time about who are you? And I know you're probably tired of doing that because it's like your elevator pitch. But what I'm trying to get to is the truth. Who are you? So that you can do something with expertise. You can say something with a unique sound. You can teach something with your culture ad. Bring your culture ad into that teaching so that you're not teaching like everybody else. So when I was teaching the gig marketplace, I was teaching from the perspective of, I understand people 45 and older. I've studied them my whole life. So I could bring all of that unique culture add to that. So that makes my teaching different from what the little 30-year-old does when he talks about the same thing. But once you know you can replicate, then you're promising people that you're going to be able to get results, and you prove that you can get those results. Now you can stand up here. You can stand up here and say that you're an authority in your industry. Now, if you don't believe me on this trajectory, this is what I'm doing right now. This is exactly what I'm doing right now with this business I have right now. I've already established who I am. I'm staying with my core. I'm bringing my uniqueness to it. I do it differently. I'm a trainer by profession. I've been training for over 25 years. So I see a lot of people train. They don't know what training objectives are. They just get up there and talk, and a lot of people like it and they learn from it, but I'm very methodical because I'm a real trainer. So I look at things differently. I'm a researcher, so I always have a unique spin on something. I'm always teaching. I'm a teacher at heart. And I've been replicating, testing, replicating, testing, replicating. And that's the same model that you need to use. So what I want you to do is give some thought to this. And what I would love to do before we get into the profit pyramid, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because this is not the most important part, this next part, and this is going to feed into the next part. But this is what I want to warn you of. And this is what I see so many coaches telling people. It's almost like the millennials. Remember, parents told the millennials, you can be everything, everybody gets a trophy. In life, everybody doesn't get a trophy. In life, you can tell me all you want, build up my self-esteem and tell me I can be an opera singer, and I cannot. I cannot. But if you flip this on its head, what you see with the Bernie Madoff type people, at the core of what they do is what they say. Is what they say, because they have a unique voice. They're articulate. They can choose the right keywords, but they don't have anything to back it up. So if you flip it on its head, and at the top of your funnel, at the top, the wide part of your funnel is only what you say. And people start going deeper down into your funnel, looking at what can you do, what can you teach, and you're promising replication, and it's not going to be produced, and the word is going to get out, and you will have fewer customers. So we have to be authentic. We have to be authentic. So with that, what I want you to do is take page 7 in your handbook. And I want you to do this for yourself. I want you to look at yourself and then decide, who are you? What do you do? What's your unique spin in your industry? How do you speak differently in your industry? There's a lot of people who tell you how to do podcasts. What makes you different, Paula? There's a lot of people telling people how to get married. What makes you different? What do you say different? What's your uniqueness? What's your culture add? What's your unique selling proposition? And then out of that, what can you teach? So Alfreda, you're very clear about what you're teaching. Paula, you talked more about one-on-one, but I'm going to encourage you. You don't have to do it now, but always be moving up that thought leadership pyramid with the teaching. Go to the next step. Yolanda, you're doing the social media, so you're doing the subject matter expertise. What can you do to move up that pyramid? That's what I want you guys to take just a few minutes. Take just a few minutes and think that through for yourself.
Angela, would you mind putting that back up since I only have a couple screens available? If not, I can do it on myself.
Well, every time I take it down, it erases it. I'm sorry. But it's be, do, say, teach, and replicate. Be, do, say, teach, and replicate. Are you in the car? I hope you're parked.
You're muted if you're talking, Yolanda.
Nope, I couldn't get to that mute button. Yes, I'm parked. I'm parked.
Okay, okay.
I
Because
thought
you
you
know
were.
I'm not gonna, you know you signed a waiver, so don't be trying to drive.
No, not at all. Like safety first. Plus I got my little pooch in the car. So
Yeah.
gotta take care of that. But no, we're parked waiting on the tire repair.
Okay. Just take another minute with that.
And I apologize again for the question, but was the B at the bottom of the pyramid or is at the top?
The B is at the bottom. That's everything hinges on who you are.
Okay. Thank you.
Can you see that?
I can. Let me spotlight you.
So that's the replicate. Even though it's backwards, you can still say see as the be, do.
Yeah, we
say.
can see it. It's
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
You're welcome. You got it, Yolanda?
She's got thumbs up.
Yes,
Okay,
thank
great.
you.
You're welcome.
Okay, real quickly, let's go around. Tell me where you are on the thought leadership pyramid and what do you think would be a good move for you to establish more authority?
Anyone? Popcorn?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would definitely say I'm at the teach for basically all of the serial stuff I want, including the digital marketing agency, where I'm able to teach that. Sorry, loud car. And my web development, I teach that now. It's just a matter of feeling that it's a very saturated place to be. So I'm looking forward to figuring out how to replicate or talk more about this. But yeah, right now I'm at teach.
Well, I'm gonna tell you why it's saturated for you. because you're not staying with your target market. If you're going for construction companies and real estate companies, why don't you do target websites for them? You need a through line. You don't want to, I'm telling you, from a person, I used to be a horrible workaholic because I didn't have a through line. I used to go for this contract, that contract, this contract. So your through line, you take your target market, you walk them through everything you do. So if you put up a site that specifically, so I don't know exactly what you're going to be doing for these construction workers and the real estate brokers, but if you want to do websites for that target market, I'm going to give you an example of somebody who became a 7-figure entrepreneur. He didn't work for me, but I got him to do my website. This guy, and I should have charged him money because he charges me money every month. But this guy, he was doing websites, and he's really good, really, really good. And he was doing websites for authors. That's how I found him. And the name of his is not this company. His company has got his name and his wife's name, but the website was something like Websites for Authors. And he was competing against 2 other organizations that are known, that, most speakers and authors know these organizations, and he was competing on price. He was a little bit cheaper. So I said to him, why don't you take that same thing and think about, what does an author end up doing? An author ends up speaking, and an author ends up training. Why don't you do a second site? Websites for trainers. It's the same people. It's your same people. But now when you are doing your buys off Google, you can spend some on training, some on the speaking, some on the authors, and see what converts better. If using the term trainers, then maybe you want to put a little bit more money over there. So if you look at your target market and everything you do, it doesn't mean you won't take money. If I say, hey, I heard you do websites, will you do one? If you got time and you want the money, you say yes. But in terms of all of your stuff having a through line, is there anything you can do from a website perspective for that target market? Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't spread yourself too thin. Once you get a team, then you broaden all of that. But it's going to save you a lot of work. Darlene, what do you have?
I'm in that teach section as well. From the part that I heard, I'm in the teach section as well. That's what I'm doing everywhere I go.
Okay.
That's what I've gotten to. I haven't gotten to that replication yet. I haven't gotten there.
Okay. But once you perfect that part of the journey, then that's the next step. Mind you, if you are authentically able to do all of this, and I assume you are, and your voice is unique. You got to have your unique voice on whatever it is you're doing. And you want to get a bunch of taglines, like I talk about profit pathway. I talk about shattering the 6-figure barrier. You want to get a couple phrases that when you do get a chance to teach, and if you're saying something, that means you're either speaking or you're writing books or you've got a blog, you're saying something, people are hearing you, you're on podcasts, whatever it is, you want to have something that you build into all of your speeches, the same thing. That's going to even help you not have to write a new speech every time somebody asks you to speak. So you want to come up with some things that you say, that's your unique culture ad that people are going to say, wow, they're going to quote you. When I say brand brilliance, hashtag brand brilliance, some people use that now.
Mhm. Well, I do have a couple of things. I put, mine is put you on the to-done list. That's one
That's
of my
good.
things that I always talk about, putting myself on the to-done list. And then the other thing I talk about is get your life back. Those are two things that I definitely always talk about, no
Okay,
matter
that's
what.
good.
Mhm,
Yeah, that's good. That's a unique culture ad.
mhm.
What about you, Alfreda?
I think I've made it up to the teach part of the pyramid. As it relates to replicate, that's a good one. You know, how do you replicate what you do? So does that mean teaching other aspiring coaches to become singles coaches? You know what I mean?
It can be, or you create programs like I created this program to replicate the success that I've had.
Okay.
So replicate can look a lot of different ways.
Okay.
May I throw in affiliate marketing would be a replicate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think Abraham may still be out because he said he would turn his camera on when he gets back. But it's interesting that everybody on here is teaching. That's curious. That's real curious. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Let
Miss
me go-
Angela, you know, they say if you can't, those who can do, those who can't teach, or something to that effect. So it's not necessarily a branding of, you know, just getting that 6 figures, like you said, because again, people like in web development typically will work at a Google or work at a Facebook, or they'll teach. And a lot of times people think, well, it's because you couldn't get the gig at Google or something like that, when in fact, it's more about the time. Excuse me.
And that's okay. You know, teaching is also a good way to replicate yourself, because you teach your team how to do what you do so that you don't have to do it anymore. We're going to talk about that on day 3. So we do want to be able to teach. Take a temperature right now. Is this stuff helping you guys think through the focus of your business? Is this helpful? Is there something else you want us to talk about before I get to the profit pyramid? Yeah, go ahead.
Could you dial in just a little bit on there seems like folks on the call are a little bit serial in their entrepreneurial endeavors, like myself. And I'm just gonna put this phone down so you can still hear me. The idea that, so like I do the web development, but digital marketing is built in. And so I'm just curious if you could maybe speak to what you said about websites for but applying that more so to this agency, because that's really where I want to spend my energies and focus on. So I don't want to mislead the conversation, if you have any thoughts on that.
So you're building an agency, and is
Yeah.
your agency going to be like many, a very broad, anybody who has money will take your money and will do social marketing for you? Or do you want your agency to be branded as we work with these particular industries?
Yeah, well, I've seen success with folks who will do a brand for each of those things. So they'll do digital marketing for dentists and digital marketing for attorneys, but they'll all have their own Instagram, their own TikTok, that type of thing. Does that answer it a little bit better?
Yeah,
So
but you know what, I would, if I was building a Gigpire agency, social media agency, I would specialize, like you mentioned.
So scary.
No, that was perfect.
You mentioned,
You just gotta turn it off.
okay, you mentioned health. So why not do like, websites for different branches of health? Because that's going to keep you with a through line, if you wanted to specialize. But there's the thing, there's a million social media marketing companies out there. Look at the ones that are successful and diagnose what they're doing. If you see a lot of them out there and they've got, 5 different sites where they segment their market, and that seems to be something that you see a lot of, then maybe that's the route you should go in your industry. If you see that the big industries that do social marketing, they probably do a full service. If that's, you know what I mean? Do they offer like a full service? They'll do the social marketing, they'll do the website development. Maybe they do all your graphic design. I don't know your industry, but what are you seeing?
Okay, just making sure you can hear me. So I'm seeing a little bit of both, quite frankly, and a lot of them are behind the veil. So the only way I really know they exist is if I scroll to the bottom of a person's website that I think looks good, and it'll say, designed by.
I'm sorry, unfortunately, the real life. Yeah.
Oh, Frida, I like what you're doing over there. She's on a big movie screen. I can't hear you, but I can see you on the big movie screen.
Yeah, go ahead, Angela. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. No, I was just saying, why don't you take a couple weeks, Yolanda, and talk to the different types of agencies and see why did they set up the way they did, really do some research on them, try to figure out what seems to be the most successful, what resonates with what you want, and do you think it's going to be profitable for you?
Yeah. And
but find out why they chose those models.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Yeah, because I'm motivated by money, but I'm more motivated by like my business model. I'm just not there mentally for that. I want to do things that are replicable in an automated way that kind of
right.
You do it one time and it lives.
Right, exactly. That's why I'm trying to keep you to stay on track, because the broader you get, the more you have to work. Now, when you get to the point where you have departments, you got a department that just does website, you got a department that just does Facebook, or you got a department, or even a team member who specializes in those things. Then you can become the business development person, or you can hire a salesperson, whatever you want to do. But you make those decisions based on what you want for your company and how you want to work. Okay. Anything else before we go on to this profit pyramid? This is where you guys don't have to, if you haven't done this exercise, you may have to do a little work. And I want you to do it for 2022. And I want you to do it here, because I know if I say do it for homework, you're going to get busy and you're not going to do it. And this is going to be key for you making more money next year. Did you have something, Darlene? Or was just a finger? Okay. All right, let's talk about that. Okay, so the way I'm going to share this profit pyramid is by sharing with you my goal for 2022. So what you're going to do is place at the top of your pyramid, what's your goal? So I've been wanting to get this goal for a couple years and I haven't gotten it, but this is what I'm going for. That's what I'm going for. Okay. So
that's for the year, correct?
This is for 2022.
Okay.
Yeah. And mind you that since I do a lot of speaking and training and program design kind of work, I don't have like extremely high costs. Like the team members that I hire, I always build on a percentage over them. You know, depending on who they are, it'll be anywhere from 100% to maybe 25%. Like if I've got somebody that's pretty expensive, I don't feel like I can charge a client double what they are going to make, then I might be doing 25%. But if it's like, you know, a lower level person, I'm going to put 100% on top. Okay, so this is what I have. Let me see how I'm going to do this. So I have webinars at the bottom. So if I turn this upside down, this will be my funnel. So at the top part of my funnel, where people fall in, where I get my leads, I have webinars. I call them master classes, you know, and books. That's what I have. So let's just take the master classes. My goal is to have 50 people, and next year I'm going to do it monthly. And they are going to pay, since it's 22, this is the lower part of my funnel, I'm going to charge $22. Because remember, some of you who came to GigCon, I charged $11.11. It was on 11/11 and it started at 11 o'clock. I just do stupid stuff like that because, you know, sometimes people will remember it. So let me move this out the way. Hold on a second. It's over. Okay, so I'm going to charge 22, and that's going to be 600 people because I'm going for 50 people a month at $22. So that's going to be 600 people. Oops. Times that 22.
Angela, are you showing that what you're doing, or we're just listening in?
You don't see it?
I don't.
You might have to swipe your phone.
Yeah, swipe your phone screen over.
You know what it is? I zoomed in, so I see it now at the bottom.
Okay. So 600 people, this is for a full year. That's going to bring me 13,200. Oops, 200. I'm not going to even put my books in there because, you know, for a book, sometimes I can get people to buy, you know, I can do a deal. Like if I'm doing training, I can say, hey, you know, let's build the cost of the book into the training. But for right now, just to make this very simple, I'm not going to put that in there. So at mid funnel, and this actually is still very low. I have GigCon up above that, but I'm going to put this program in there. So I have some other sources of income. So I'm going to put this Gigpire experience, and I do this assuming that you guys tell me that this is helpful. My plan is to do it 3 times a year. And I'm going to shoot for 50 people at each one of these. So that's going to be 150 people a year. And it's going to cost $174. It's going to give me $26,100. Okay. Now at the top of my funnel, going toward the top, is going to be the build. And this will be taking this whole Gigpire experience, and it will be a year-long program where people walk through the build with me. And it's a group program. They walk through, and there'll be so many crazy bonuses to help them actually build out their Gigpire in 1 year. I'm going to charge. Now, when I first offer this, of course, the first one won't be offered at this price because, again, everything you do, you want to test, build. That's how you kind of build a business. But at the end result, at the end of the day, this is going to cost $8,000. And I'm thinking that I might be able to get 18 people the first year. And so that's going to equal 120,000. So listen to this. While people are focusing so much on the low ticket item, you see it takes a lot of people to make some money. With 18 people buying in at $8,000 for a whole year, I can make 120,000. So then above that, at the very top of my funnel, and I don't even want to do this anymore, it's going to be my one-on-one. I don't want to do it anymore. One-on-one clients, because I find it very exhausting. So one of my non-negotiables going into next year is that I'm not going to do much one-on-one. I do one-on-one with people, and I put a lot into what I do. And I do these one-on-ones with people, and then they don't do the work. And then they want to complain about something. I'm like, look, I can't do your work. You can't hire me to do your work. You got to do the work. And then you don't even get any good testimonials because they don't want to do the work, and you poured everything out. I don't even want to start complaining. Anyway, so this is at the very top. And I'm not going to be doing many of these because I'm going to charge somewhere between $500 a session to $750. Because I don't want people, I don't want to do it. So I may not get many customers there. But if we add all of this up,
Hold up.
right? Huh? Yeah.
You're saying if you did a one-on-one client, you would charge them between 500 and 750, correct?
A session.
Per session. And how long are those sessions?
1 hour.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so if you add all of this up right now, I'm going to be at 159. Good thing for me, I also do work on the corporate side. So this is the customer side, the consumer side. So I already have contracts going into 22. I already have contracts for 125. And that leads me to my 384, 300. That's my total for the year. So that's what I hope to do, because I've got to get to that 320. I've been trying to get there for 2 years. This will be the 3rd year, 3 years, got to be the charm. I've got to get to that 320. Now, we always estimate wrong, right? We always do that. So here's the 2 things that come after that. You got to have something that's a little bit realistic, right? But here's the 2 things that come after that. What are going to be the strategies and the tactics? And this is where you're going to start really get yourself, if you're a writer, get yourself a folder. If you are a digital person, put something on your phone. But here's where you start collecting all your metrics. I offered, many of you said you're teachers. I offered a course. I invited 2,000 people. 40 of them registered. 10 of them showed up. This was the topic. This was my keywords. I offered another course. We're testing and learning. Same 2,000 people. This is what they said they're interested in. This is the topic, here are the keywords I use. This how many registered, this how many showed up. When you do it a few times, maybe about 3 times or so, you're going to start getting some metrics that you can feel more comfortable with. So you'll be able to say, every time I offer a training, I get about a 3% buy rate. Because every training that you offer should always offer another training or another something. If you're a coach, maybe it, is your one-on-one, you got to make that decision about what's in your profit pyramid. But everything leads to the next thing. Everything leads to the next thing. Now, when you're building out a Gigpire, the interesting thing is once you get this one profit pyramid tight and it's rolling, and you're able to have other team members assume places where you're always taking the lead, you can build out another one. But Procter & Gamble started with 1 bar of soap. 1. Now you can't find almost any product line of consumer goods that they don't sell now, but they've been around for over 100 years or something crazy. So as solopreneurs, we don't have all of this energy to be trying to do everything at one time. You're building. How do you build? You get a foundation. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. You got to have this foundation. The foundation has to be strong enough to support the weight of your growth. If you don't have the foundation and you start to grow, like you do a TikTok and you blow up and everybody wants to work with you, you're going to be a hot mess. You're going to be stressed out and people are going to find out you can't deliver. It's not that you can't, but it's just because you got 200 people that you took their money because you're like, woo, I better get it while the getting it is hot. You took their money and now you don't have the bandwidth. You're trying to build a team to do what you already told them you could do. That's a hot mess. So you got to have that foundation there. Now, this is the other thing. We talked about quarter by quarter. So if this is my goal, then I know that it's not going to work out this way. But I'm trying to build out things so that it makes sense on a quarter by quarter basis. So I take these things that I said I'm going to do and I work backwards. If you're planning an event, a good length of time to work backwards is 3 months, but I have done things in short periods of time, including this, and I wanted 10 people and I think I got 8. Because this is a beta test. I didn't want, a bunch of people and then you said, oh, we hate it. I didn't think you would, but when you beta, don't get 1,000 people in a beta. Really test it. I'm trying to see, what kind of emails you're going to send me, what kind of things you're going to say. Every question that you're asking me, I'm writing it down because I'm going to build the answer into the next one. This is a beta. This is learning. This is to make sure that everything that I've been teaching over the years, when I put it together in this format, that it's going to help people. So here's the other thing. I look at my first Q1 and I said, oh my gosh, I didn't make whatever, divide this by 4. I didn't make that amount of money, 80 grand. But I'm going to look because I do have corporate clients and they usually pay this one particular client, their net is 45 days. So I know what's going to be coming in the future. So if I'm at 40 the first quarter and I need to be at 80, I'm not going to sweat too much because I know what's going to be coming the next quarter. But you're doing a forecasting. You don't have to make forecasting complicated. But if I look at that first quarter and I said, I did a monthly webinar and I got 8 people at each one, something is wrong. So this is what it means. It means either The N going in didn't produce the N I need to go out. The N going in did not produce the N I need to go out. I need the N to go out to be 50. I have to determine what the N is to go in. So if I want 50 people at a webinar, then I need to touch 2,000 people, 3,000 people, 4,000 people, whatever that number is. If you've got a very active list, you're not going to need to touch as many people. But if you have kind of a mediocre code list, you're going to have to touch a lot of people. So in that quarter, what I would say is, okay, let me give you a perfect example. And Yolanda, you can attest to this. Clubhouse. I've been a rebel on Clubhouse. First, I resisted really getting on, and then I started getting on, and I resisted following the clues to success. The clues to success is you leave, you spend a lot of time on there. You get, your folks, that y'all all sit up on the stage and oh, she's so wonderful. They're so wonderful. That's the way these people are multiplying. There are people who become friends with the people who own the club, and they sit up on the stage. They do nothing, but everybody follows them to say, follow all the moderators. That's the way people in Clubhouse are growing, right? That's one way. But I refuse to do that because I'm not going to sit up on a stage, and I don't like being on stages where, the people who came there to learn something or get something, you got to listen to all of these moderators and all of this stuff. I don't like doing that. Hold on a second, darling. I don't like doing it. But what am I doing? I'm going against the way things are always done. So I went in and I started doing rooms on my own. I don't have like a huge following. I think I might have 1.2 thousand or something like that. I don't have much of a following. So when I open up a room, I usually only get maybe like 10. I think the most I ever had in a room, other than Toastmasters, that's a totally different thing, was probably like 14, 16 people, something like that. So I don't even have enough people. Right? So my commitment on my tactical side to Clubhouse is I'm giving Clubhouse 90 days, because I've gone to the people who got, 50,000 followers and all. I've listened to what they said. And they said, give it 90 days. So as much as I don't want to, I'm going to give Clubhouse 90 days because success leaves breadcrumbs, and I'm going to follow. I'm going to give it 90 days. Part of my strategy is I'm not going to be doing so many rooms on my own. I'm going to go back to what I was doing at first, was trying to develop relationships and partnerships to do rooms with people. And then a lot of people told me, yes, let's do it. And then either they wouldn't show up, or, I back channel them, they're nowhere to be found, whatever. And I just forget it. But I'm gonna change my evil ways and follow the breadcrumbs. Go ahead, Darlene.
Well, I've been on Clubhouse just a little shy of a year. December 11th was my year anniversary. And over that period of time, the way I established myself was, one of my coaches had a clubhouse, and I became a part of her clubhouse, and I hosted a room in her clubhouse. After I was with her for a little while, she said, I love you, and you have enough people that have been showing up, blah, blah, blah. So now I need for you to create your own. So I created my own clubhouse room, and I started hosting rooms every day. And one of the things I found, it's very true to almost anything you do. Consistency is key, and collaboration is also key. So what I did was I showed up every day and invited people to be on my stage now, to come into my room. And over the time, when I created my own, I now have 433 members. It's not a large group, but it grew organically because I didn't go into other people's room and said, follow me. I literally grew organically based upon what I was doing in the room. And so I invited people to come. When I heard people that came into the space and talked about stuff that was interesting to me, that met the quote unquote criteria of my club, I invited them to host a room, and several people, I have but between 10 and 25 rooms per week. That's the what I'm showing up for my analytics, is that people are coming into the rooms. They've hosted rooms. Like for you, I would love for you to take a day or time, whatever, and have a weekly room that talked about what your niche is. And that would be like, that helps to build continuity. People know where to find you. They're looking for you every week. Talk about it. Because every Wednesday at 11 o'clock, there's a man named David Watkins who talks about finances. And he talks about becoming your own bank right in the Refresh, Refill, Renew community. So every week, every Wednesday, people are looking for that. So that's what I found that works in the Clubhouse arena, is just constantly showing up. So that's,
I know. And you know, Darlene, I'm just resistant because, like I said, I have corporate clients. So I have like, you know, work to do during the day. And that's why I was resistant, because I was like, I got to do some work. I can't be hanging out in clubs. So I need to figure out when I can be there consistently. The only thing I've been doing consistently is a Toastmasters Thursday table topics. I do that because I'm in the World Toastmasters Club, and there's a lot of people in there that want to learn English, and this is a way that they practice their English. And plus, I love Toastmasters. But
I do too.
Yeah.
I need to get in that room. I took Toastmasters for several years and then stopped. So I think I definitely will want to get back into that. But you know what? There's a lot of things that happen in the evening where you can take an hour in the evening, whatever one day a week you choose, whatever day you choose. If you're just constantly choosing that one day, people are they're looking for you.
I know it's hard because Monday I have Toastmasters, Tuesday I have Bible studies, Wednesday I do training, Thursday I do Facebook Live, and I did have something on Friday, and I just said I can't do it. So I'm going to work it out. You have convinced me. I'm going to work it out. If you want to see this again, take a screenshot now, because when I go to the next thing, it is actually going to disappear. And the other thing that I want you to know about this is, for me, and depending on your business model, for me, the thing that keeps me good is actually right here. This is my corporate work. Now, this is what I have for the year already, contracts I have for 22. Hopefully, I'm going to get some more contracts for 22. So this is the way I'm looking at this. What if I'm all wrong? What if I get 8 people at the webinars? What if the 3 times I do Gigpire, you know, maybe I get 8 people there. So look, I would be losing at the most, you know, maybe 20,000 if I miscalculate that. But that then is going to impact the build, because a lot of the people who will sign up for the build, they have to know me and they have to see my work. So the people who might sign up for the build, that number is going to go down. I have to work harder to get that number. So what if my numbers are off? And you will find sometimes your numbers are off. It happens to large corporations. It's going to happen to us. If my numbers are off, you are going to see that in the first couple months. My numbers are off. So that's when you go back to your strategies and your tactics, and you look at what you're doing. You look at the results, you tweak it, you know, for a few weeks, like you said, test it, find out if that's going to work. If that does not work, you go on to another strategy or tactic, but give it some time. Give it some time to truly be tested to see if it's going to work. But for me, and for this goal, because I really, 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 really want to hit this goal this year, I decided the easiest route for me is not the consumer side, it's the corporate side. So what I'm going to do is get a VA who is now going to be focused on helping me get corporate speaking engagements. And even if I get 5 of those, I only need 5 of those, that's going to make up all the money I lose in Gigpire with 5 corporate speaking engagements. So I want you to be able to build out your profit pyramid. And I want you to be able to go, I want you to have a plan B. If what you think doesn't happen, I want you to have a plan B that you can fall back on. And as you build this whole thing out, it might become really apparent for you what your plan B is. And on your tactics and your strategy side, we're going to be talking about freedoms. And when I say freedoms, I mean, what are the things that free up some of your time so that you can actually end up doing the work that's going to make you the most money? Alfreda, yes.
Yes, I had a quick question regarding corporate clients. I see a lot more ads now across Facebook and different people talking about pivoting over to corporate clients or high-end clients, so to speak. Do you find, as it relates to corporate clients, what does that look like? What are they looking for? Are they looking for people to help them motivate their sales teams, or what is the corporate world all about?
Well, you got to find that out for your particular industry and what you do. Corporate clients probably won't be interested in stuff about singlehood. They probably won't. Right. But if you're a certified coach, I don't know if you can do a little dance over in leadership. Because they definitely are looking for leadership. I just put a bid in to do training on managing a multi-generational workforce. But you see, I'm still in my lane. I'm a gerontologist. So I saw stuff about the multi-generational workforce before today. I'm still in my lane. You know what I mean? Yeah. So see what you can take from your lane and bring it over there. But leadership is always, always welcomed. Communication, always, always. Team building, always, always. But I tell you now, the competition for team building is getting really stiff, because now a lot of these virtual event people, they're doing some serious team building stuff. They have like the virtual escape rooms, and they're doing like just really, really unique things. And teams that are multi-generational, they want fun stuff. I met a lady in Clubhouse this morning who was a mermaid. That's her business. That girl getting ready to rock it. I told her, don't be spending all your time and effort. Build out your corporate side. Corporations are looking for fun activities so that their conferences, their meetings can be bigger and brighter. Nobody had a mermaid on the stage or whatever. She can rock it. I told her, she's in Canada. I said, hey, you need to talk to your fellow mermaid people in Florida and California. You can rock it. I'm telling you, you could make a ton of money in corporate, and I can see that so easily. And I was like, who would have thought a mermaid?
Yeah, I would love to learn a little bit more about that. I know that, even like with my day job, I have 20 years supervisory experience in leadership and supervising multi-generational workforce, different people of all ages coming from different, and that was even before, like you said, a lot of this stuff has kind of hit the world about, diversity and working with, multi-generational. That's something that I picked up on in my spirit when I started noticing that it all of a sudden went from certain age groups up to a certain age group, and how they were literally having challenges on a daily basis working together only because of the age gap.
Right.
And so, I definitely want to kind of, investigate that a little bit further, because that's something that I would definitely would want to do, not necessarily immediately, but maybe after I retire. I hope to retire from the corporate world in about a year. That's my goal.
Okay.
And then I
Well,
can go
you
out.
know, put that in your plan for whatever year you think it makes sense. And this year, start dropping some seeds. You don't have to spend a lot of time and effort on it, but start dropping some seeds. Maybe go to, you know, a couple webinars about the multi-generational workforce. Talk to some of your corporate colleagues and see what they're seeing as an issue. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but just start dropping seeds and doing a little research on it. So when you're ready, you can come out the gate.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
So did everybody get a snapshot of this? Because it is going to disappear. Okay, so what we're going to do next is I want you to fill out yours. Now with this, if you don't feel comfortable sharing with people, hi, Shelly, how are you? Good to see you. Can you unmute yourself? Say hello.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. I had some medical things I needed to take care of, and so I'm pleased that you people are still here, and it sounds like an interesting conversation. Thank you.
When did you come in? Because I can catch you up if you can stay a little bit later.
I can stay a little later. I came in on the last thing. I took a screenshot of that.
Okay.
Mhm.
The profit pyramid. Okay. So what we're going to do is take some time. I'm going to give you, it's 3:05. How about you think 10 minutes would be good? And I want you to work on your profit pyramid. So use your workbook. I think it's on page 8. Build that out. But I also want you to have a plan B. And I'm going to tell you the questions I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you to explain your profit pyramid. Now, if anybody doesn't feel comfortable because, you don't want to share that, don't feel pressure. So if you don't feel comfortable, we'll just skip you. But what I would like you to do, if you feel comfortable, explain it. Tell me the reasoning behind the numbers. Like, when I came up with all of these, I'll have 50 people. How did you come up with that reasoning? And 3, tell me what your plan B is. If your numbers are wrong, what else can you throw in there so that you can get to whatever that desired goal is for you? So how about we come back at like about, let's say 3:17. And let's talk about it, the people who feel comfortable. And then Shelly, I'm going to show Shelly the dashboard and walk her through that. So if you guys want to, mute for a few minutes, if you don't want to hear that, that's fine. Okay, Shelly, thanks so much. I'm so happy that you're here. We had some problems at the beginning, some technical problems, because this is a different tool that we're using. It's a really good one. And come to find out it wasn't working. And I thought, I even got the owner of the company to come and help me figure out why it wasn't working. And come to find out, I was so embarrassed. I had accidentally hit a little button that I didn't know I hit, and it had closed everything down. So that's the problem we had at the beginning.
I'm glad you got it sorted out. I actually printed off the materials last night. I printed the workbook last night.
Okay, great.
That. Yeah.
So you already have been on the dash. You feel comfortable moving around on the dashboard?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, well then in that case, you want to work on your profit pyramid?
Yeah, sure. So I'm guessing that what you're talking about is selling classes to clients. Is that what you?
No, what I was showing them is you need to take all of your whatever it is you do.
Yeah. Okay.
And you're going to lay it out in this pyramid style. At the bottom, it's going to be the least expensive thing that you offer.
Okay.
If you flipped it on its head, it would be the funnel. So,
okay.
at the top of the funnel.
Yeah.
Right. So the least expensive thing is on the bottom, and then build up to your high ticket offer. We're talking about 22, so estimate how many people you can get in those offers and for what price and how much is it going to yield you. You put your profit goal at the top, and then you look at how you can use those offerings of yours and how many people will take advantage to get to your goal.
Yeah, and your Clubhouse example was really good from that perspective, because I have, how shall I say this, have the same challenges. So one of the ways I connect with people is I go to different networking events, and then we follow up and talk afterwards. But between you and me, unless you've done something significant for that person, they're never going to remember you. They're never going to remember you that you were at Athena's workshop in February of 2021, unless you actually managed to get them a client like that. And so something like Clubhouse might be more significant. If they see you every week and they hear you and they know that you're passionate and that you're good at what you do, then they're far more likely to reach out to you than if you go to a million different networking events. And even if you have a talk with them afterwards, because unless you give them a tool or something that they will remember you by, they won't even remember your name.
But do you know, it's just a tricky situation, because there are about 5 people on Clubhouse that I helped with their businesses. And, you know, I don't have anything in my bio like give me money. I don't go on Clubhouse for people to give me money. I do go on Clubhouse to build a list. And I haven't been doing the best job of that. I'm going to change my ways in 22. Because I am going to test it to see if that's a good place for me. I think it is. But people have to kind of, you know, if you're going to be selling high ticket items, they got to see you more than once. They got to know that you are authentic. I tell people all the time, and I forgot for you guys to do this exercise. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. I'm writing it down so I don't forget. But anyway, if you want time to go ahead and work on what you're going to be offering in 2022, you can go ahead and do that. I'm willing to stay behind and chat with you about anything if that would be helpful.
I appreciate it. I think that I've got the idea, and it's going to be, how shall I say, it's going to be a two-pronged effort on this end. I'm going to be working on, you know, offerings for 22. I can't really do the pyramid until I know what the products are. Does that make sense? I've got to come up with.
So tell me, what do you do, Shelley? What do you do?
I build websites for small businesses. I build websites for people like Alfreda, for example. You know, if she would be starting up her coaching and whatever, she is a typical client. I actually have a client who is very much like that right now. And I just felt like putting all of my clients' offerings right down there in the chat and say, Alfreda, this is what my client is doing, and this is how she is making money like this. But you got to start off with somewhere. And I think that for people like that, she is in the workplace. Her clients could be her colleagues that she's working with right now. So if she can grab some of those people, and if they could, you know, and she could help them, because some of the things are to do with our self-image as women, as minority women, the way people look at us, and that we think that we are what people see. So, and when I say people, I'm talking about people with a penis.
So Shelley, is that the only thing you're doing right now is websites? Are you doing something else?
Well, I was thinking of doing, of helping people. I actually help people with search engine optimization. And I help people build courses on their website. So there
Okay.
are a lot of different platforms for people to build their courses on. And
Okay, so what I hear you saying,
mhm.
tell me if I'm wrong, but what I hear you saying is that you can help professionals, name who your target audience are, startup businesses, small businesses. You can help them maximize their website. So you can put their e-commerce on their own website, their training, their membership. You can make their website a work engine.
Yes, I can make it their business place. I can help them to earn money while they sleep.
Okay.
That's what I can do. And however, it doesn't happen by itself. I don't want people to get the impression that once the website is up, they will become rich because they have a website. It takes a lot of hard work. You've got to send people to the website. You've got to do the Clubhouse thing and say, go to my
Okay,
website.
so this is what you could think about, because you're still considering what you're going to do for 22. So if you want to specialize in that area, and that's pretty much what you want to do, you could say that however you want to do it, because we did this thing like, who am I at the beginning and what do I do? But some words that you might want to play around with is that you can create websites for small businesses that are a work engine, right? And then from there, what you said is they're going to think that they just put it up. You know, I put the blog up, I put the e-commerce up, I put the membership site up, I put all this stuff up for them. And then they're going to think, I'm done, right? So if you are not a trainer, then you could partner with someone who could say, okay, you got your work engine up, but we got to give this work engine some gas, some oil. And I'm going to partner with Jane, who knows how to do training around the gas and the oil. So when you buy from me this work engine, you can do an upsell and say, I can build this for you, but now you need to know how to keep it running. And Jane is my preferred trainer to help my customers do that. Jane can get the contract. She's going to give you an override on it, anywhere between 10 to 20% for everybody you refer over to her. And then you would do the same thing for her. When people come to her about her area expertise and said, hey, she said, you need a website. Well, my partner is Shelley. And when they come over to you, then you give her 20%.
I met someone yesterday called Namita who does media campaigns.
I think she was supposed to be here today. I think that's the name of the lady who was supposed to be here.
Yeah, I have her contact information, I think. And so, I mean, she's not the only person who I've met. There are other people like her, but I feel that a good partner for me would be someone like that, because the campaigns need to be on LinkedIn for professional ladies like I see in this session today, and for other industries on Instagram. Does that make sense? So that's kind of, that's where the people are hanging out. And then I get a lot of people who are my audience, but they have built a page on Facebook and they're running their business from there, and they think that is their website. And for some of them, maybe it is, but you know, I don't want to really go into the whole story of this thing. It isn't, because they are building they are building SEO brownies for Facebook by doing their business page on. I mean, you should have a business page, yeah, but if you're running your business from the business page, then Facebook is getting the credit and not your brand. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, but they have to understand all of that. And if there was a lady who's supposed to be here today, I don't know, maybe she'll come tomorrow. Her name is Kitty. And she's built her business on Facebook. She resells clothes.
Mhm.
And so I've been talking to her about, okay, now let's get those people off Facebook. You got to get
Correct.
them off. Those people belong to Facebook.
Yep.
So
And does she know who they are? Does she know where to find them? Because
no, some of them she does, but she doesn't know all of the people. But there has to be a way for her to get all of the people off Facebook. That's what we're talking about right now. There are some software packages, but I think if Facebook find out that you're using those, I think they're like, you know, unethical or something. Facebook doesn't like their scraping software that will scrape the email addresses off. So I don't recommend that you do anything that's going to get you booted off Facebook.
no. I wasn't thinking of doing that. I'm saying if somebody is a client, then she could ask that person if she could, if they would like to sign up for her list, because sometimes she has some good deals, and she could email them and let them know. And then they could,
right.
and then they could decide if they wanted to share that information or not. I understand why she's using Facebook. I just moved from Maryland to Florida, and I sold all of the junk in my house on Facebook Marketplace.
Right.
It's wonderful, but you know, I don't want to ever see those people again. But she does. And so
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Shelley, I want to make sure you are thinking through, because we're really focused on building up our business for 22. I want to make sure that if you got time at the end, I'm going to summarize what we talked about, and then if you have time or interest, then maybe later on in the evening you can look at your business at those. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about the foundations of our business, the things that we need to be in place and have in place, and certainly the website is one of them. And also, I want you to maybe have a chat with Yolanda. She does social media marketing, but she also is a website designer. So why don't you guys also talk to see if there's any synergy, because you may be able to do some work together, make some referrals or partnerships, whatever that is. But actually, I've got to go to the ladies' room because I haven't taken a break since we started. And I think all of this water I drink is saying,
that is the most important thing. And I will be thinking my packages that I had already started thinking of already. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Take care. Okay.
Okay, ladies, when you're ready to come back, just put your camera on and I'll know you're done. Anybody ready?
I'm still writing.
Okay, so we'll come back at 3:30. Got 6 more minutes.
Thanks.
Turn your camera on when you're ready, so I know when to start back. I think Yolanda may be driving. Abraham said he'll be back tomorrow. Okay. Shelley, do you mind if we go ahead and start? Because we're going to spend some time afterwards. Is that okay?
Feel free to go ahead. Yeah, I'm following along.
I can't hear you.
Feel free to go ahead. I'm following you.
Okay. All right. So anybody feel comfortable sharing? If you don't, it really is okay. If you're talking, Alfreda, you're on mute. And you might be talking to somebody in your household.
Yeah, I was talking to my husband. I told him I needed a calculator. But I got the beginning part of what my profit pyramid would be for 2022. In a perfect world, I would love to have 20 people signed up for my 5K coaching package. That's 20 people.
Mhm.
Plan B is to divide that in half and get 10 people to join the 5K coaching program, which would get me at my 50K amount for just 10 people. And then for the other 50K to divide it in with either 40 co-authors for a book anthology, somewhere in there, as well as an individual author. If there's an individual author that just wants to write their own book and they don't want to do a co-author thing, then divide that and maybe have approximately 10 individual authors writing their own books and helping them get their book published and everything. So
if you do the book publishing thing, if you just did the anthologies, are those more lucrative than the individuals?
The individual would be more lucrative and that's only because I need to kind of tweak my numbers. When somebody's writing a book, that means they're writing an entire book versus someone who's being a part of a book anthology, they're only writing a chapter, which encompasses their journey or their story or whatever. So for instance, if they wanted to be in the book anthology, along with say 20 other people, then their investment would be $1,250. But if they were writing an individual book on their own from cover to cover, it could be, somewhere around $2,250, which is half of what some people in the market have been quoting, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for people to write their books. So it just depends on where I want to land those price points. But in a nutshell, I could accomplish it with the coaching, the book anthologies as the co-authors, as well as the individual authors. So just those three lanes, I should be able to reach my 100K goal.
So with the anthology, it's $1,250 a person, right?
Yes.
So times 20, that's 25,000.
Yeah. So if you're doing, depending on how many co-authors per book, say you're doing, you put 10 to 20 people in one book and say you're doing 4 volumes or whatever. So it doesn't really matter the number of volumes, like you said, it's the number of people. So you divide them that way, and yeah, it could end up being that.
What do you usually do though? Do you do 10 or 20? Because there's a big difference between 10 and 20 in terms of money.
Right. Well, I've only done one so far as a publishing. I have also a publishing piece to what I do, as far as the book publishing. So we just did the debut anthology, which we had 10 co-authors.
Okay. Do you think that worked well? Do you think you could do 15 or, I don't know. Yeah. I've never done an anthology.
Yeah, it went well. I really enjoyed it a lot, but what my biggest challenge would be is having my committed editing team. Editing is not as easy as it appears, so you're not really just looking for grammatical errors. You want to make sure that that book is flowing in the way that it needs to flow so that it impacts the reader the way that you want it to impact the reader. So, and each editor has their own strong point. So you got to find the certain type of editor to do it. and
Right.
for them to commit to your anthology, because I'm kind of particular about certain things, so I wanted to have a smooth transition. I don't want it to look like, okay, these 3 anthologies were great, but this 4th one, something was a little different, and they probably wouldn't know, but I would know that it's because my editing team is different. I don't have the same people that I had, in the other. So just making sure
Right.
that you have your team, that's everything for me right now. Like you said, we're working with just kind of on our own, and having one person and maybe a VA or someone helping kind of pull everything together. So that's going to be
Yeah.
my biggest challenge, is getting my team together and committed, and as well as the one who has the skill set in what I'm looking for in the editing. So,
But it sounds like for you that if your goal is 50, that you should be able to surpass your goal.
I should be, yes. If I had, yeah. So the key is getting everything lined up, like you said. So I'm kind of working on the foundation of everything, because I want to be able to take it and run with it. I don't want to stop and say, oh, I don't have the editors that I need, kind of right now, because I could have. My goal was to go ahead and start my 2nd volume 2 and pull in my people, but I don't want to pull in people and take their money and not have the editing team that I need. I know what I'm looking for as far as editing.
Right.
And one thing too, each editor has their own, fee. So you can have a lower end editor versus someone that wants, $5,000 or whatever to do the editing. And with a limited budget, it's like, okay, I can't necessarily afford it depending on the amount that I'm charging. So for my volume 2, the price will definitely be different, because volume 1, it was half of that. So like $500 is what I had charged for each person. Whereas it would definitely need to be increased to the $1,250 per person.
So this is the thing about, we're going to talk about this a lot on the 3rd day about the whole team thing.
Yeah.
But don't let your team set your prices. Don't let your team set your prices. You come up with, you've done one, what some editors cost versus other editors. Go on someplace like Indeed, and they'll tell you the range of what editors in whatever city you're in. You'll get good numbers from there, and you set your prices. You say, look, I'm doing an anthology, graphic design, formatter, editors. This is what I pay. Do you want in or out? And don't allow anybody to say, well, I'll do a chapter. No, this is for the book. And then it's going to flow the same way. But you set your prices. Don't let them set your prices. You're the contractor. They're the subs. So
Right.
They don't get to set prices. You set the prices with the client.
Okay.
And then they fall in line. And, there's, of course, some editors are better than others, but
Yes.
there's tons of editors out there. So
Matter of
you'll
fact,
be able
my
to find
sister-
some within your price points. Go ahead, Darlene.
I say, as a matter of fact, my sister is one.
She does editing.
She does editing, formatting, book covers. Absolutely.
I would love to.
Well, that's good to know
check her
too.
out. Yeah.
Oh,
her
yeah. I'll get you her information.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
And one other thing too, with the editing, I'm definitely looking for someone who has skill set in creative writing, because each person that writes a book, they don't necessarily have the skill set in writing, so to speak. They have a story to tell, but not necessarily the skill set in writing. And so it's different types of editors that you would have to kind of have, unless that one editor that you're using has that skill set.
Yeah,
To
you can get one editor who can do that. I mean, I hire editors like 24/7. If they were diagnosing with people with dyslexia when I was little, they would probably say I have it. And thank God they weren't doing that, because if I had known that I had a disability, then I probably would have been acting like a disabled person. But instead, when they sent the note home to my mom and said, oh, she took the test And these are all the things, long, remember back in the day, we used to have those really long computer papers?
Yeah,
They were really long.
Yep.
This long thing, right? And then I could do this, you can't see my finger, but I could do this much. I'm gonna turn this off so you can see what they said about me. So you can see what they said about me. It was really like my mom, so cool.
We
She,
can't see you.
you can see me in a minute. I just turned off my background.
There you
Okay,
go.
so the computer paper was like this long. And they had about that much what I could do. I could take tickets at the theater. I could be a clerical person. I could pretty much just, nothing about anything going to college. Nothing like that. I have a master's degree. I've written 5 books.
Come on.
So, I use editors constantly because you probably find in most of my stuff, you'll know when I didn't use the editor, there'll be typos in it. There's tons of editors. Don't be tripping off of that. You just need to take the time, develop your criteria, and interview some, get some of their writing samples. You can even give them a test if you want to.
Okay.
Treat it like corporate. Treat it like corporate and get
Okay.
the right person. But
Okay.
you're in good shape because even if your plan A don't work, you already got some good backup. You should be able to do that. You should be able to do that. Yeah. And go from December 31st, 22, work backwards. So if you say you're going to do 3 anthologies, pick the months. I don't know how long they take, but you work backwards and plan out your schedule that way. So
Okay.
that way, you're not going to be like, oh my gosh, you only got 6 weeks to do an anthology and it takes 2 months because you already considered all of that. So we're going to talk about that too. That's good. That's good. Yolanda, are you here? You still driving? Okay. You're here?
I am here, just finishing up my lunch.
Yummy. What do you want to wait and finish chewing?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, that's fine. Darlene is chewing, but do you want to go?
Okay.
You
Right.
got your video on, so I'm sure you're not mad about chewing in front of us.
No, ma'am.
Tell me
Well-
what you're doing.
What I'm doing is I have a signature program that is, well, let me start off with my goal is 75 grand for 2022. The way I'm going to reach that is I have a signature program for 2,500 and I sell 10 of those. That gives me 25 grand. Then I have a down sell, which is portions from that signature program is 497. And I sell 15 of those. That would give me 74.55. Then I have a smaller program, which is for 297. And I sell 75 of those. That would give me 22,275. And then I have an even smaller program that is just, that would be a 1-day webinar. And that 1 day is only just a few hours, but it would also include a book. And that would be, I would get 250 of those through the year. And that would give me a total of 24,250. And so when I add up, I had it on my calculator, but it disappeared. So I'm going to put it back on the calculator. It came to like 78 and some change. So let me put it back
So
on my.
Darlene, when I listen to that and you have to go over the details again. But when I listen to that, you're working too hard. You got too many little bitty things. You got too many little bitty things. A really good profit pyramid really has 3 offerings. A really good one.
4. Yeah, I have 4.
But yours are low priced.
Well,
They're low price.
the $97 one, because I was listening to what you were saying and how you were putting it together. The $97 one would be the one that will be offered every month.
Okay.
That's the one that's offered every month. That's that webinar. That would include the book. So that's the kind of the small one. And then where you have the Gigpire, which is the 3 by the 150, that would be where if they could not do the highest price, then they would have the other ones to choose from. And then the other ones, the build, which is the 2,500 one.
Okay. Now, who's your target market? Because you were percolating between people who need self-help, and you were percolating between ministry, women in ministry, or caregivers, or maybe both combined. So who's your target market?
Yeah, well, when I'm looking at that, I'm recognizing that there are people that the people in ministry do have money. No, doesn't mean that just because you're in ministry. More messages, sorry. It comes across. People in ministry have money, and they need to take care of themselves. So I'm still kind of in a quandary, because I still believe that it's important for those who need to practice good self-care, who are caregivers. So I'm still kind of, but I'm still at that point. And I saw your head move a little bit, Alfreda. Is there something you wanted to offer?
I was just thinking with what Dr. Angela was saying. So then the key for all of us is finding out which one of those people, or which one of those avatars are going to pay us the money, price points that we need to reach our goals.
Right.
So if we go with one and it's like, well, you're probably only going to get this amount, then you may have to go with the other. So that's a good, I'm just thinking about that for myself too, just making sure that we are targeting those who are able to pay, because some people who have they're caregivers, but maybe they don't have the monies to pay. But like you said, if you're targeting people in ministry, especially high level people in ministry, I don't know. I guess you can't really gauge it by that, because just because you have a title don't necessarily mean you have a certain amount of money. You can just have a regular person that has no title that's making more money than a high paid preacher. So it just depends.
Right. So
this is what I'm going to say to you, though, Darlene. This is what I'm going to say. So to me, it really does depend on what your offer is. Because I don't really know what your offer is, because you said like resources. Tell me specifically. Now, if you're doing, let me give you an idea. If you're doing something for first ladies, just an idea. You're starting a First Ladies Club. And on the First Ladies Club, you work with, after COVID, or we have to figure something out virtually. But this is just a thought. I have these thoughts. So you got the First Ladies Club, and part of that, you have negotiated with masseuse, with aromatherapists, with boutiques, and you did a special outing where the church boutique place going to do a fashion show and set up and sell some beautiful clothes, In the meantime, they're getting their nails done, they're getting their foot massage, they're getting all of this stuff. And that's self-care. Now, if you're doing these kinds of things and you want to charge me, you know, you of course, you're going to back into your price to make sure if this is doable, but you're going to charge me, say $4.99. I don't know. You'd have to do the, you know, the research on the price. And if you've got some connections, then maybe that would be something that people would pay for. When you start talking about self-care, like materials, people really want to be cared for. I mean, reading a book on self-care is good because it's going to encourage me to take care of myself and maybe give me some ideas of things that I could do. But I would really want to be pampered. Like, I'm gonna give you an example. There's a woman, and now they have like companies that do it, but a number of years ago for my birthday, I did a wine tasting. So I had, you know, a wine connoisseur come to my house, and I had a chef prepare the food because it was my birthday. And, you know, we did pairing and all of that kind of stuff. And I invited, I don't know, a dozen of my close friends. That was the best evening. And that wine connoisseur actually got 2 contracts because people had never been to anything like that because of what the experience was. We had candle lights and flowers and all of that. But it was at my house. So if you're doing something like that, that kind of appeals to women in ministry, I'm not telling you what your product should be. I don't know what your product should be. But when you talk about self-care to me, I want to go and kind of get some pampering. If I'm a caregiver, I want respite care, meaning taking a break, but I want to make sure my older person is taken care of. That's your biggest barrier if you're talking about caregivers. I'm not leaving my baby, my mom, with just anybody. So what are your products?
The last
Products.
I did it's called Refresh, Refill, Renew, and that's just what I did. They came and they received manicures, they did facials, they did not get pedicures, but because it was also a spiritual portion of it, I actually washed their feet and prayed over them as they're caring and as they're moving forward and caring for others. That's what I did. So I personally washed their feet, but we also did it in a way that was sanitary because I had the gloves on, I had the hand sanitizer in between persons. Everyone had their own basin in which I washed their feet. So I did that for them. So that was a part of helping them to practice, good self-care. The facials were beautiful. And the way the facials were done, I had a woman who was a Mary Kay consultant. She came in and she walked them through, but she's also a believer. So we actually were able to have a time of meditation. So we walked through putting the facial on.
Now let's get back to the business part. Did you charge for this? And did you make any money?
Yes,
we did. Who was the audience?
The audience. Now this was the interesting thing. The people who came, some of them were former caregivers, and then others came because they were in ministry. So I had a little mix of both. I did not have present caregivers in attendance, however.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you what you're telling me. You're telling me that most of those people there were 45 and older.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That's what you're telling me. So it has nothing to do with whether or not, they are current. Well, current, yeah, because they didn't come. the former caregiver, you targeted people, I don't know if you want to say they're in the ministry or you want to say they're just Christians, that want some self-care.
Right. That's who.
Everybody most people over 40 have experienced caregiving, because the average age of caregivers is something like 48, something like that, 46. So almost everybody in their 40s have experienced it. So since the current caregivers didn't come, I think that's speaking something to you. I think you should pay attention to that. If it has to be people in ministry, that's your call. That focuses you down a little more narrow. You know, I was just listening to Russell Brunson, because I told you he's one of my coaches. They're his client. So he talked to us, and he talked about micro niches going smaller and smaller and smaller. So if you want to do people in ministry, that would be getting, closer to that micro niche. Or if you just want to do Christian women, come up with some name for your self-care. You may not want to use the term self-care. Maybe it's a tagline, self-care. But, come up with something. You already know how to do it. And, start offering that to Christian women. And then maybe you can even offer it to churches as a package deal for the first 25 women at your church who show up, who register or whatever. This is what you get as a package deal for the women in your church. Some things to think about. What are you thinking, Alfreda? I see you over there moving. What you got?
May I say something?
Go ahead, Shelley.
I really like Darlene's idea, and I think that she needs to think about something that she can offer online as well as to people in her local community, because the world is a really big place. And remember that there are Christian women not only in the United States. One of my clients has a website that deals with Christian writing and inspiration, and she has clients in the Philippines, for example. So think beyond the local borders, because you might find those connections in other countries as well. And think about what services you can offer. Perhaps it's more of a mind thing than a body thing for the online people. Maybe it could be a combination. We have this online program and we have this in-person program, and people could, pick out the one that's appropriate, or perhaps join both if they were in your local community.
Well, what I've done, thank you, Shelley.
That's good, Shelley.
The last one that I did, and it's called Refresh, Refill, Renew. That's the title of my program, Refresh, Refill, Renew. And it was done online. It was basically a hybrid where some were in the room, and then there were others who attended via Zoom. And what I did do that I need to tweak and improve is everything we did in the room, they were able to do, with the exception of the foot washing, and of course the having their nails done. They were able to participate with the facial because I got their addresses ahead of time, and the same packages that those who came in the building received, they received at their home. So whatever package, whatever was in their package, and for those who were in person, they got the very same package sent to their home. So they opened it at the same time, and it's time to do the facials. Go get your bag, get your facial. And we were all able to do that. So Shelley, thank you. That is absolutely the truth, that there are women all across the country that are looking to make connections. And I think that that's really key. I think the bottom line, I'm just, keep thinking, the bottom line is more connectivity and being able to have community with people that are experiencing the same thing that you are. And knowing that you have a safe space, because even in that space, we were able to talk about things that were very personal that you might not have spoken about any other time, but because you felt you were in a safe space, you could share your heart. So thank you, Shelley. I appreciate that.
Darlene, that is good. I think that when you added that component, like you're sending, like in my industry, we'll call them swag bags, but whatever you call them.
Yeah.
Care something, whatever you call them, that you're sending that out in advance. Mm-hmm. I could see you getting with Shelley, getting with Yolanda, and just getting a website up where you have these, like, plan out a bunch of virtual ones, test it, and maybe have like, 4 dates, 3 dates, whatever, because it's a test. Mm-hmm. So on your site, it's refresh,
refill, renew.
Refill, renew. And if you want to whoever you're targeting, Christian women, caregivers, whoever you're targeting, you're going to get the language that's going to speak directly to them. And you're going to say, hey, if you find out that people are blue because of COVID, or they're blue because of caregiving, or whatever they're blue for, hey, having a hard time getting through COVID. Do you feel like you're always pouring into everybody else and nobody's pouring into you? Well, refresh, renew, blah, blah. Your online, I don't want to use the word self-care, but I'll throw it in there for now, play with words. Your online self-care experience like no other. And then use all these luxurious words, receive your blah, 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 mud facial from blah, 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 whatever it is that they're going to be doing. And if you say that it's Christian, you say that it's caregiving, put the educational component in there too. But I could see that being a standalone website where people can just go and register. It doesn't even matter because there's no cutoff. They're all online. You can have 1,000 people come. They're all online, and see what kind of uptake you get. But you're going to have to market that one site and see if people will join it. Whatever price point you charged, what did you charge before?
I've been fooling around with charges. So it's been about $70, and then they paid for their own hotel.
Okay, but how much does your swag bag cost?
That was a donation, but it won't be a donation anymore. And what I mean by that is people gave me either money or they gave me donations. So they gave me money, and what I did, because this is what I love to do, every time I host this, I always give them Bath and Body Works. So they got Bath and Body Works in there. I paid, but there were other things I paid for. There's a woman who is a chef. She made cookies. We sent them homemade cookies. I had it was those newfangled wine glasses, wine goblets without a bottom. I sent them that along with, it was a Martinelli's, was it their apple cider?
Apple cider.
Yeah, and my book, Refresh, Refill, Renew, the journal, and a few other things went in there, the facial, and that's what went out to them. So it was
so here's your deal.
Yeah.
You're gonna get sponsors. So when you're working on your profit pathway, you're gonna get sponsors. Because the last event that I did, I got a sponsor. I didn't spend a dime. They wanted to connect with people who would be interested in this product that's supposed to give you extra energy. They gave everybody who wanted one a gift. Go to your sponsors and say, listen, this is what I'm doing. I would love for you to provide some introductory gifts for this target market of women who are shoppers. They love to be pampered, blah, blah, blah. You got to sell them on it and tell them to send you some introductory gifts. And you would love to set up a process where they would be able to track how many customers they get from your events. And that will help them determine if they're going to keep doing it or not. But that's exactly what I just did with the sponsor for my last event. Look for sponsors, look for people who want to reach the same target market that you have. And it's just an ask. Tell them, test it, see how it impacts your business. And then when you get into the event, you can share with the women. Always tell your sponsors, whatever they provide, they're going to give a coupon for the first discount or whatever it is. And just make sure you encourage your women, hey, don't forget, this doesn't have to be a one-time only thing. Our sponsors have provided, discounts and whatever they provide for you, discount codes, whatever they do it. Take advantage of it, take care, build it into your messaging and test it. I love it. I think in your swag box, be careful, don't give too much. You don't want to give too much because now your box becomes too expensive. So if you don't have sponsors, you can't afford to do it at $70 because it sounds like you gave more than that value away, plus the cost of the event.
Well, I was already told by my coach that I cannot charge that for my next event. And Alfreda's looking at me saying, no, you're not going to charge that for your next event. She said,
Right.
Not if I have anything to do with it.
Yeah, but and it doesn't matter what the charge is. You're going to back into the charge.
Oh, yeah.
You got to know what your expenses are and you put your profit margin on top of that first.
Right.
And then go to the women and find out if they're going to be willing to pay whatever it is. So if you get sponsors, because then that way, whether you get the sponsors or not, you're covered.
Right. So
You don't ever want to go in whole.
But something you said about the website, you said, because I'm actually, my website should be done by the end of this week. Hallelujah. But you were saying that the Refresh, Refill, Renew website, you said have 4 different dates.
No, I was just thinking of a sales page. It doesn't even have to be a whole website.
Right.
I was thinking for a test, do a sales page and maybe have however many dates you want to test to see if people register. And then all you do is set it up, for the payments and all of that. And then you just, every place you go, you say, hey, we've got some refresh and renew online excursion events, however you want to dress it up to make it sound so fabulous. They have to come.
The R&R event.
Yeah. 3 R&R.
That sounds good though, Darlene. That sounds really good.
And
Yolanda, let's kick it over to you.
I think Shelley wants to
collect their emails. Make sure you stay in touch afterwards so that you can sell to them again.
Actually, that's a great idea because afterwards she could start sending them self-care packages if they join into like a monthly subscription, and she can create these cute little small self-care packages. So through the year, each month, she's sending them a small little, 3 items or whatever it is, and they just join into that subscription. And so then you will, and one way you can call yourself when you're doing your subscriptions is that you're their personal self-careologist.
I love it.
Darlene,
you got a business model, girl.
And your box will have, your box will have,
my Refresh, Refill, Renew logo.
Yes, all of that.
Okay, so listen, let's just make sure that we exchange numbers so we can continue. That's really beautiful. And
I love it.
And I need to connect You know who she is, Angela. She
Who?
was at the last Gigpire, and she was the one discussing white labels.
I'll get you her
You know what I'm
information.
talking about?
I do. Yeah, Nicole.
Nicole.
She is, her website is the Ecom Sellers Academy.
The Ecom.
Sellers Academy. Yep, because you know my favorite thing, every product needs a service, every service needs a product. Yolanda, are you ready? Let's talk about your profit pyramid.
I'm not ready, but let's talk a little.
We're listening.
So I'm really not sure where I'm plugging things in quite yet. I'm still figuring out how many particular widgets do I need times the price and the people. So I'm really still just ironing that out.
Okay, but what are your widgets? What are your offerings? Are you packaging things, doing service packages?
I don't know. I'm built on a subscriber model where people can subscribe for a fee on Patreon. I'm still building out exactly what I want to give them besides access to me once a month. There's templates, courses, trainings, so and graphic design as well.
So you got to get some packages together. And when you say access to you, I don't know what that means. If you're telling me that you are going to help my real estate business, my construction business grow through social media marketing, I don't really need access to you. I need you to create campaigns so that happens.
Mm-hmm. So right now,
go ahead.
Right now I have 1 foot in C2C and 1 foot in B2B. I mean, B2C and B2B. In other words, when you say real estate firms, it's a little bit different than this low-hanging fruit for individuals. So I'm still building out what the corporate offer would be. So let's just kind of look at it from a B2C for now, which is where that would be individual realtors.
Okay. I mean, it's still the same. It's still the same market. I mean, it's just a different level. You're still saying with the same industry.
Right. Yes.
So if it's like what I've seen, and you know better than I, but what I've seen for social media experts, companies, whatever, they'll tell you for X amount of money, this is what you get. If you want this other thing, this is what you get. If you want our premium package, this is what you get. So that premium package, that's where you put the thing that is the lever that's going to swing the large door, what everybody wants, and you work backwards from there. But
okay, so I do have that.
You got it?
I do have that. Yeah, I have that from a former business model where it was really mainly web development, where for $9,000, that would include the building of the website as well as some maintenance in there. And then I had a $5,000, which I think was more or less just qualified lead gen, and then a $2,000 that was more or less a glorified audit with some actionable steps.
Now, were people paying those prices? Were you getting people at those price points?
That was just my initial thinking, and then I delved into something else.
Okay, we got to get you focused. We got to get you focused.
I have a quick question too for Yolanda.
Go ahead.
Please let me know if I'm not saying this right, but your 9K is for your broker, or was it for the individual agent? Your 9K package.
Yeah, this was before. This was when I was dealing primarily with dentists. So same level of equity ability, but yeah, this was for my dentist business.
Okay, because I was just thinking, even on the smaller end, if it was to each, like you go to the brokerage and introduce it to the whole to the broker, as well as to each individual agent, because each agent also has to have a web presence. And so you can build out a pack. I don't know if you're not interested in that or not, but you can build out like a package plan for them. So for, I don't know, 3,500, 4K, you give them their website, and you give them, like, for instance, there's a lady that I know that sells real estate, and there's this magazine. I'm gonna hold it up right now. She sent this to me, and I think it's kind of like a magazine that some company created, and they just put her in there as the agent. So each agent gets to get their name put onto the magazine. And it just kind of gives it a little different touch than not only on site or online. These particular magazines go to their potential customers' homes. So many people got away from the home touch. Everything is virtual. So when you go back and start doing stuff like this is also, it makes a difference. So I was just saying, create these cute little packages, and for the individual agents, as well as your broker, including maybe partnering with somebody a photographer who does, headshots. So package will be your headshot, it'll be your book, it'll be your website, and it'll be, or something like that for this amount, or something like that. It's just
Because this is what I know, Yolanda. Hold on one second, Shelley. I know that most of these professional, like the agency models, the person who develops their back end, they only develop one back end. And then, however many people that take advantage of that, all they're doing is the same exact thing. You got my face on it now and maybe my name, but it's the same exact thing.
Yes.
And so they charge the agency a hefty amount for the initial work. And then it may say, oh, this comes with, you got to know your industry for the number. This comes with 10, I don't know, you got to know your industry. This comes with however many number of agent sites. And then every time they get an agent or whatever, you don't have that much work to do. You just duplicate the site, swap out a photo, swap out a name, and you're done.
Yep. And
all of those professional services organizations do that.
Right. And so, for instance,
when they tell people to come to them, they say, hey, we're going to give you your back office.
Yes.
And that website is part of their back office.
Yep.
Multi-level marketing people do the same exact thing. So, if it's real estate, cool. You can do that with brokers, but do your research and find out, do these brokers already have this? I could imagine that some of them do, but there's got to be a lot of them who don't. Because one of my friends who's in digital marketing, they told me recently that it's still a huge percentage of small businesses that don't have websites, still even today.
Yeah, that's what keeping a lot of business people stuck, because we either don't have a website, or we either don't know how to package up our product. I maybe need just one webinar that's going to, and releasing that could bring in all the money that I need, where it's coming in overnight while I'm sleeping, and the person is just watching a webinar and paying for that particular program. So yeah, it's for me, it's the digital stuff, especially folks over 40. Listen, I have a very vivid mind as far as being a creative, but digital, I'm like a kindergarten. So that's what keeps me stuck.
So listen to this. I just hired someone to repair my renters had a leak. I just hired someone to do the repair. This business person has no website. They have no real payment processing under their name. They're asking to do Zelle into a personal account. That's crazy. So I say to the business person, I said, how are you surviving? How are you surviving with this? Oh, well, I could do PayPal, but I never sent an invoice through PayPal. That is not unusual for solopreneurs. They can be so lost. That's why I do what I do. They can be so lost that it's pathetic. And if you go after the real estate people, especially if you go now, Yolanda, don't keep waiting. They are making tons of money, tons and tons of money. This is a great time for you to go after them.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've been taking notes.
So, and also don't be shy. Get your packages out there. Listen, we're in test and learn. We're not trying to get perfection here.
Mm-hmm.
We're not trying to get perfection. Do you guys feel like I'm less capable because this software didn't open up because I messed up the software? Do you feel like,
No,
oh,
ma'am.
don't ever listen to her again. She
No,
clicked the
ma'am.
wrong button.
Well, how
This
does
thing-
Amazon
Party.
feel that their software was hacked, Angela? Is that professional?
Say it again.
I say Amazon software was hacked. Amazon
Yeah.
site was hacked, and their websites went down. The people who built websites on their platform were down for 1.5 hours. Is that professional?
Right. And what we're after.
Well, Facebook.
Yeah, everybody. But what we're looking for, we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for progress. If you're going to get past the $100,000 mark every month, every year, you got to be building. Think of it just like an empire. Think about the old empires. It might have been one king, he got the core. Well, we would call it the core. He got the core. He got the little territory. Then he goes after this one and he goes after that one. And before you know it, it's like Rome. The whole world belongs to us. That's what we're doing. But we cannot wait until everything is perfect. You will never do anything. Get those packages together. You've been working on this long enough. Get your packages together, and please don't get offended. I love you. I only say this because you're worth it. We're all worth it. If we're spending this much time to build our business, we're serious and we're worth it. Don't sell yourself short. Build out those packages. Get bold. Change that Clubhouse, if that's a tool, because I know you're on there a lot. That's a tool you're using. Change that. Get on those stages. Start asking questions. Start telling people. Get your customer testimonies and say, you know what? I worked with John and John increased his business by 25%. You know, I did this, that, and the other. You don't even have to sell it. Tell them your testimonials of what you've been able to do. Come on, Yolanda. Girl, I'm rooting for you.
Thank you.
I'm definitely rooting for you because you're shy. That's why you have your camera off, because you're shy, and it's okay. It's okay.
Yes,
But I'm gonna
you
tell
got
you
this,
something.
girl. We are
The
your
best
we are rooting
coach
for you.
I ever had, that guy threw me out to the wolves. He threw me out to the wolves. He was like, look, he even said to me, why are you going B2C? Ain't no money there. You got to deal with all those crazy people. You need to stay right over here at B2B. And I was like, no, but I'm endeared to this. He threw me out to the wolves. He's like, no, I'm going to set you up with some bankers and some insurance people. And I want you to come into my thing and do a short presentation. And I was like, I don't even have enough time to research the industries. Yeah, it's in 4 days. And you know what I learned? When I got in there, what I learned is what I knew was way more than what they knew. And I didn't know everything. I may not even have known a lot. But because he built me up to be confident, but first he made me feel so scared, but I was able to do it. Don't hide behind anything. Go out and build your Gigpire. You can do it. You are skilled. You even raised your hand and told us you were an expert. Don't hide your expertise. This is not the season for it. This is the season for you to go big and go bold. So sorry if I sound like your mom, but I love you like a daughter.
And let us know when you do your room too. And we'll come on if they're available. And
Oh,
we can
come
sit
on,
in
I'm
the
showing
audience
up.
and
I'll be one of your moderators.
come on now.
Let us know.
I'll be a
Will do.
moderator. I have no problem. Let me go on here in Clubhouse and follow you.
Yeah.
So Shelley, before people get too exhausted, tell us a little bit about your business and what are you thinking about moving forward?
I am hired by small entrepreneurs who need help building or updating their website. I'm passionate about education. I feel like you, I want everybody to be able to make a good profit and to live well and to live their dreams, so to speak. And so I feel that many people can do this by building a self-paced course from their website, from their own website, because there are a lot of websites like Kajabi and other websites, third-party websites that build courses. So I can build your course from the site. You can teach it online or in person, and you can have your materials there, or you can automate it and record the sessions and have something going on where people can access that in their own time. It can be a self-study thing. And so what I'm getting.
So Shelley, let me share with them because they might not have heard. This is what I said about Shelley. This might not be the exact words, but this communicates who you are. She creates work engine websites for small businesses where they can attract their leads, sell their courses, stash their membership, place their e-commerce, all for a reasonable cost.
Yes, exactly. I try to make it affordable for everybody, and people have come to me and said, listen, my budget is limited, and I've worked with them. Nonprofits have come to me and said, we need a volunteer. I am the webmaster for a nonprofit called Bike SD. It's in the San Diego area, and I do it for free for that nonprofit because they have a good cause, and that is what I do. But and I was saying to Miss Angela that having a website is not all that is. You need to send people to that website, and I think that might be where Yolanda comes in. I would like to talk to Yolanda because I think that she has the key to getting the people onto the website. Where are your people? And I'm listening to you and Darlene talk about this Clubhouse. That may be a good place. The problem with networking is that people come, you talk to them, you set up one-on-one conversations with them. I know that next month, that next year, I've forgotten who they are. But if you are consistently providing value for them on a platform like Clubhouse, perhaps they would remember, perhaps they would say, when I need my care packages, even though my audience is not a Christian audience, I know that Darlene is the expert, and therefore I'm going to approach her.
Right.
So
so this is what I said to Shelley, why you guys, and let's give her some thoughts, because this is what I think about what you can offer, Shelley. You provide so much value because you're right. Those all-in-one platforms, they're expensive every month. What is Kajabi, like $179 a month?
And then if you have above a certain number of people using it, then you need to pay.
Goes up.
The fee goes up. If you have it all on your website, there is a cost associated with it, but it's always the same cost. If you've got 2 people or 200 people, it's going to cost you the same amount of money.
Right. So what I said to her is that what she's building, you got to get some terminology so that people understand. You're not just building a website. You're building a website where they can run their entire business off that website, right? Most of us don't run our entire businesses off a website. I have Kajabi. I don't like Kajabi. It's very clunky. I don't like it. I don't really want to be fooling around with Kajabi, right? And if you can bring all of that into, with the plugins, you're going to bring all of that into somebody's website, and then you're going to set up their hosting. You can even resell domain names. These are not a lot of money, but I'm trying to make you a one-stop shop. Resell the domains, resell the hosting. And then you can say to them, after you've built this great website where they can house their whole business, then you say to them the same thing you said to us. Hey, Jane, listen, this is really going to work for you. It's going to help build your business, but this is the piece that's missing. You still have to get leads into your website. You still have to have content for your website. These are the things that I need to get from you. So I don't want us to stop here, because that's going to stop. You got to have some fresh content on your site to keep in the Google rankings. So I have, however you want to phrase it, a partner, have some additional services, however you want to do it. I would say a partner, because I don't want to have these people doing something that I don't know enough about, that it represents my company. Like when I hire people who represent my company, I have to know enough about what they're doing so that my name can be on it. Like I just hired, a virtual events person and a curriculum design and trainer. I just actually got to do their contracts this weekend, because I know enough about that. But if you say websites, I can't do the websites. So Yolanda, we're back here. You say you're not here tomorrow. Back here, no, tomorrow is Friday. I'm so confused. Yeah, 11 o'clock. And we'll be able to get in this time. I'm not gonna touch any buttons.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You, Shelly, you got something. You got to package that thing, and people got to understand the value that you're adding. But you got to get some of that wording to communicate that. But back to the partnership. So a person like a Yolanda, it doesn't have to be her, but whoever this person is, who can do the part you can't do. What I said to her, you build a partnership, affiliate relationship with them, and you say, for every person I send to you, I want 10 to 20% of what they buy. And for every person you send to me, I'm going to give you 10 to 20% of what they buy. Because these two could be referring back and forth to each other, both of them growing their business. So now the person who's doing the content development, the social media stuff, they're growing their business because they can say to their customers, hey, I got a partner who I work with very closely. She's excellent. She can actually get your website running. And listen, her websites can pull your whole business in, everything. You don't have to go anywhere else. You got your membership, you got your e-commerce, you got your blog, you got all of this.
Appointments.
Yeah, everything is on your site. I might end up being one of your customers, Shelly, because I have a guy now who does my website, but my website is gorgeous. I think I love my website, but I haven't updated in such a long time because I keep hiring people, and some of the virtual assistants tell me that they're doing this as a business, but they're just doing it as a gap fill between jobs. As soon as I train them, they're like off to get another job, but any thoughts for Shelly? Because I think you got something going on. You should easily be able to make 6 figures. You need to just put you got to get it into some writing so the small businesses understand your value. And you could do something like the big guys do. They'll say, they'll have a page, a comparison page, and you do your stuff and you say what's included, e-commerce, calendar links, just list out everything that's included. And then you look at your price and then you compare it to somebody else and you do the check marks, and they're going to see that they're not going to have all of the check marks that you have. You put your price down at the bottom. I don't know what you charge for your monthly maintenance fee. Whatever that is, you put your price at the bottom, you compare it to them. I don't know what you charge. Don't compare it to them if you're more expensive.
I charge a lot less than they do because I'm passionate about serving the solopreneurs and the small guys. Once a company becomes big enough, they don't need me because they're going to hire someone full time. Okay.
So, but you got it. You're in business, and it's good to have passion. I have passion, but you gotta earn some money. You know.
Yes.
Love the people, but it's time to plan for 22 so you can earn decent amount of money. You're very skilled. If you can put all of those plugins onto WordPress or wherever you're going, that's a skill that people value. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to attract more people.
One of the packages that I was considering doing is having a course where I show solopreneurs how to build their own WordPress site, a simple informational site for a fee.
Don't do that right
less.
now. Don't consider that right now. Right now, what you want to do, because you're building a business, right now, get your stuff together. Get your own packages together. Get more people buying, because that's recurring revenue for you. Once you get it built, you just got to keep them pleased. That's recurring revenue. I've been with the same web developer for probably 4 years. Recurring revenue. So don't worry about teaching them anything right now. Get them in to buy your packages. So structure your packages however you want to structure them. Your all-in-one package is your premium. You want to work backwards from that. And then, you got your price points and people can choose. Oh, and you got to tell them the benefits of this all-in-one, that, this is much less expensive than many all-in-one packages. And you got me there to, I don't know, whatever you're going to offer in terms of maintenance, if there's so many hours, however you do it. But you've got me there. I'm a real person. You don't have to talk to a knowledge base.